Thank you so much for your help and support, guys. Today, we'll be recapping a story called Sickly? Husband's Contractual Wife. Enjoy. In a mansion that is more like a palace, Selena and her mother-in-law Camila are having tea together. However, the peaceful, albeit awkward atmosphere is disrupted when her mother-in-law asks her straightforwardly why she's not pregnant yet. Camila sternly reminds her of how much the family needs a successor. She emphasizes how she is only chosen for her family's famed fertility and how the Duke's family's long history needs to be continued. She even goes as far as calling her useless. Jeez, Camila is a daughter-in-law's worst nightmare. Selena is used to her rants after 2 years of staying with them. She endures all the insults only because of her transaction she made with Camila. Girl, we are telling you, don't be a martyr. Have mercy on yourself. She agreed to marry the sickly Duke to produce an heir, but what can she do? She knows that in this story, she will be accused of killing her husband. What? That's insanity! Suddenly, their conversation is interrupted when a maid informs them that the Duke has fainted again. The two of them rush to him, only to find him writhing in pain. Selena, despite how worried she is, can't help but notice how perfect Duke Ahmad Ifrit is even in this situation. OMG, Selena, behave yourself! Your husband is sick. How can you think like that? But then again, we can't blame you. He looks sculpted. Anyway. He slowly reaches for her hand, and she unknowingly takes it. This is a mistake, since for such a sickly man, the Duke certainly has a strong grip. Whoa, calm your grip down, sir. The maids even mistake her look of pain for worrying too much. Wow, their maids are dense. Later on, when she is alone with Ahmad in his room, she notices how he is mumbling something to her. She leans closer to ask him if he is in pain and wants her to call the doctor, Raymond, but to her surprise, he forcefully pulls her under him. Gosh, this is still the first chapter, guys. Calm yourselves down, because we sure can't. Selena is still dazedly looking at Ahmad above her when he tells her to get out. Wow, after all that, this Duke, as handsome as he may be, is RUDE. Ugh. She just stares at him for a moment, so the Duke tells her to let go of his hand. This wakes her from her trance and snaps at him that he is the one who won't let go. That's right, girl, get some sense into him. Ahmad tells her to get out once again, and Selena had to tell herself that he is sick and that she should be patient. She tells him to relax, but he harshly tells her to stop. He reminds her that she would never get what she wants from him. She is trying to help you, stubborn man. She gets angry and yells at him for losing his temper as soon as he wakes, especially since it affects his energy. After a few moments of silence, she calms herself and tells him to take his medicine. She does her best to convince him to take it, even though the Duke is childishly refusing. Selena's patience is incredibly admirable, because I could never. But with his handsome face, I might. He catches her looking at him with pity a few minutes later, and he angrily tells her to stop looking at him like he's a dying man. 'Cause you are, sir. He forcefully takes the medicine from her and unknowingly drinks it in a provocative way. Droplets of medicine escape his mouth and drip down his exposed neck and chest. What? That is not how you drink medicine, everyone. He's wasting it. But it's not like we're complaining. The image even made the maids flustered. After leaving his room, Rona, her maid, notices her injured hand from the Duke's grip, but Selena dismisses it, focusing on her future. For 2 weeks, everyone thinks she's crazy as she remembers her past life. And the life she lives now is from a book she's read before. It is the life of a woman who killed her husband. What a plot twist. The life of Selena was a tragic one. She was imprisoned and executed for poisoning her husband. The Duke's mother made sure she got the most painful penalty there was out of anger. Remembering all that she had read from the novel made her act a little crazed. Who wouldn't panic once you realize you're meant to meet a horrific end? This is the reason why others are assuming she is not right in the head. Well, we wouldn't be too if we were put in her situation. Determined to find a solution, she realizes her character in the novel had little detail. She hopes to find a loophole in her contract with Camila, which demands she gives birth to Duke Ifrit's heir. Flashback. She wouldn't have signed the contract if not for the death of her parents. She was forced to work all sorts of jobs to keep her siblings alive. She couldn't even send them to school. Oh, Selene, it must have been hard for her to carry all this burden. When the then Duchess Camila found her, she was desperate to save her siblings. Camila promised to pay all their debts, and so she signed the contract and became the Duchess. However, the marriage with the Duke has been strange from the beginning, especially since he wasn't even aware that he was married to her. I'm sorry, what? Still a flashback. When the Duke asked her what she was doing in his room, Selene struggled to answer him. She even managed to notice how handsome he was, despite supposedly being sick. Pull yourself together, young lady. He's asking you a question. When she did not answer, he assumed that she was a new maid. She nervously answered that his mother told her to go to that room. The Duke started feeling suspicious and asked her what exactly she is. She is forced to overcome her stutter, and with her eyes closed, she exclaimed that she is his wife. That must have been a total shocker for him, especially since moments ago, he wasn't even married to anyone. Despite her fear, she explained to the incredibly confused Duke the situation. Moments later, he told her to come closer. He intended to do their duty right then and there. Wow, glad he's easy to talk to. She knew that they had been preparing her body for weeks to conceive a child. She had a strict diet and took special medicine. However, she was not prepared when the Duke suddenly pulls her under him. The Duke taunted her about showing him what she has learned, assuming that she had been taught what to actually do during the deed. His teasing became even worse when he noticed that she was inexperienced. You're being cruel, mister, and we kinda like it? Lord have mercy on our souls. He finally moved away from her and ordered her to get out. She knew that she couldn't tell him about the contract, so she reasoned that she will get kicked out if they don't sleep together. She exclaimed that she'd rather he kills her since she has nowhere else to go. To her horror, he really did pull out a knife. Sir, that's illegal. And so is your handsomeness. Still a flashback. She frantically begged him for her life. She explained that she had siblings to take care of. Thankfully, he did not hurt her. Woo! We panicked for a second there. He just cut his arm so that blood flowed to the bedsheet, making it look like they really did sleep together. A classic move. He took off his shirt, and again, she was mesmerized by his physique. I mean, who wouldn't? Have you seen him? He's looking snatched. Let's continue. He then ordered her to wrap up his wounds. Dismayed and devastated, she learned that they would not have a child as the contract demanded. She pleaded with him to not tell Camila, fearing she'd be replaced with another woman. He assured her he wouldn't, knowing his mother would force another marriage if she found out. End of flashback. Recalling that night still sends shivers down Selene's spine. However, armed with knowledge from her previous life, she seeks a solution to the unfair contract. Luckily, she discovers a clear way to terminate it. If the reason for the agreement vanishes, Camila can request a divorce between Selena and Ahmad, paying her half of the down payment. Her mother-in-law once again reminds her how she's wasting time and money if she's unable to get pregnant. Really, this woman? Can you not be nasty for once? Selene tells her that she clearly remembers the terms of their agreement. She even asks her if she can be in charge of the affairs of her husband. There's our girl, take control. Despite Camila's obvious disdain for her request, she persuades her. She explains that she wants to take care of his body since it too can affect her chance of getting pregnant. Camila is instantly horrified by the implication that her son might be impotent. No, she can't let that happen, can she? She convinces her mother-in-law that she can trust her skill as a former pharmacist assistant. With a warning that she will suffer consequences if Ahmad gets worse, Camila finally gave her permission to be in charge of Ahmad's health. She immediately goes to the Duke's chambers. However, before she can enter, another obstacle is there. The Duke's maid, Emma, has always been rude to her, but she will definitely not back down from her. You go, girl. We got your back. So she informs her that Camila gave her permission to go to the Duke. Entering the room, she finds the Duke lounging by the window. Again, she is mesmerized by his angelic features. I mean, look at him. She then boldly asks him if he wants to take a walk with her. As expected, Ahmad does not take her request well. He callously inquired if she is crazy for asking that of him. Honestly, this guy just doesn't have any romance in his body. Has it also been affected because of his health? Well, we hope not. Of course, Selena expects this of him, so she encourages him to see the outside weather as a couple. He downright refuses, but she recovers moments later and asks him again to walk with her. He then grabs her chin and she slaps his hand away, but she accidentally uses her injured hand. Oof. The Duke notices it, and he knows that it is injured because of him. Good, you know. Selena sees how guilty he is about it, so she decides to use it to her advantage. She expresses how it hurts so bad, and to her surprise, he actually apologizes. Will you look at that? He's a softie after all. He's just pretending to be tough, you guys. We can now chill. Milking the situation for all it's worth, she tells him that he can appease her by walking with her. They walk in the garden, surprising the servants. She makes small talk. He's unresponsive. They reach the Moonlight Garden, but a cat jumps at her. She is so surprised that she almost falls to the ground. You'll never guess what happens next. Ahmad catches her in his arms. Definitely a classic swoon moment. Catch us too, Ahmad. Selena is shocked by the position they found themselves in. She instantly moves to get out of his arms and thanks him for catching her. If we were you, we would not move an inch, Selena. She notices the cat and realizes that it is Noire. Cat Noire? Where's Ladybug? Just kidding. She starts greeting it like an actual person, and the Duke is confused by her familiarity with the animal. Ahmad stares at her with a strange expression on his face for a while. He is just standing there looking at her without saying a word. I think someone is developing a crush. You're in for a ride, Ahmad. Moments later, something flies into her eye. The Duke gets really close to her face, and he kindly takes the particle out of her eye. Ugh! Finally, he's showing his romantic side. Oh, cute. Selena certainly thinks so too, since she blushes like a tomato. Ahmad coughs and Selena worries, but he reassures her. She suggests walking again tomorrow, but he gets angry, accusing her of being motivated by a contract with his mother. Unable to handle it, Selena snaps at him. She exclaims that she is doing these things for his health and that she doesn't really want to have a child with a disrespectful person like him. Ouch! Somebody get that man some ice. That's gotta hurt. Selena pulls Ahmad inside to keep him warm, hurting her injured hand in the process. He notices her pain and unexpectedly takes her hand, fixing the bandages for her. Selena notices that he switched moods again. One moment he's mad, another moment he's not. Seriously, Ahmad, choose one mood. You're confusing us. Is he actually worrying for her this time? When she returns to the mansion, Rona excitedly gushes about her closeness to the Duke, even believing they kissed, though Selena knows her maid misunderstood the situation. The maid keeps on gushing about how romantic it was and how happy she is, and that her lady and the Duke are finally getting along. Wow, Rona is joining our Selena Mod fandom. Welcome, girl! When she intends to rest, Rona informs her that the doctor, Raymond, wishes to see her. Right then, Raymond arrives, claiming that he will do a checkup on her. She notes how gentle the doctor is and how Camila, who is harsh to everyone, trusts him. However, she is suspicious that he is somehow involved in the death of Ahmad. Well, he does produce a certain creepy vibe, but we can't say for sure. Our girl Selena is certainly investigating her way out of this. She decides to calmly talk to him after the checkup to know more about the Duke's condition. She expresses that she wants to take care of the prescriptions and diet of her husband. By the end of their talk, she manages to get his permission to do this. When Rona enters, she informs her that she'll decide on Ahmad's diet from then on. Selena and Rona enter the kitchen, meeting the Duke's chef, Jiang. Intimidated at first, they find him approachable. Selena asks for the Duke's menu and notices the lack of meat. Jiang explains Raymond's preferences. Selena suggests adjusting Ahmad's diet due to his build and improving the kitchen. She promises to help Jiang take care of everything. She even miraculously manages to convince Camila. Cool, our girl is taking the reins right. When she finally gives the first meal created by Jiang and her to the Duke, it is obvious that he likes it. so much so that he finishes everything in no time. She applauds him for eating it all. She then extends her hand to ask him for a walk again, but before he can answer, Emma stops him. Ugh, party pooper alert! Emma's objection is mellowed when the Duke asks what's wrong. She tells him to take his medicine first. Selene notices the pills he's taking, knowing they aren't tested yet. Lost in thought, the Duke asks her what she's doing. She is confused for a second until he reminds her that they are supposed to take a walk. At least someone is not being difficult for a change. Despite being once again mesmerized by him, aren't we all? She takes his arm and they take a walk in the garden. There they meet the cat again. Noire has been hiding in the mansion all the time since he is a stray. Selene requests the Duke not to throw the cat away and promises to find someone to adopt him. The Duke accuses her of not taking responsibility, but she insists she will. The cat approaches Ahmad and Selene panics, rescuing the cat to protect the Duke's health. Ahmad's horrified expression interrupts her rant. There is a snake around her shoulders! Oh no! Frightened, Ahmad tells Selene not to move and deals with the snake. She panics, realizing how close she came to danger. She fusses over Ahmad, worried he got hurt, but he teases her and says his left hand was bitten. To her relief, she finds his hand unharmed. The Duke laughs at her reaction while she exclaims that she was really worried about him. This is not the right time to joke Ahmad, but at least we know he's got a sense of humor. Despite her anger, she can't help but admire the way he laughs. OMG! Selene, you sound so whipped. It's okay. We're whipped too. The Duke then notices that her clothes got torn, and Selene gets so embarrassed. The Duke chivalrously takes off his shirt and wraps it around her. He is standing there shirtless, and we're kind of torn between worrying about his health or worrying about his abs. Absolutely not good thoughts. After that incident, Camila berates her for what happened in the garden. That is when she realizes that someone is following her during her time with Ahmad. During her conversation with her mother-in-law, she realizes that the person who can influence her mother-in-law so much and the one who follows her all the time is the head maid, Greta. When the maid visits her to give her fertility pills, Greta seems determined to speak her mind about something. What is this about? Greta confronts her about the recent changes Selene has done for the Duke and asks her why she did not ask her about it. She cordially explains to the old maid that she did all those changes. Selene makes it clear to her that she discussed it with her mother-in-law beforehand. She knows that Greta tends to flaunt her authority to her in the past, especially the power bestowed upon her by Camila. But Selene will no longer be bullied by her. That's right, never let anyone bully you. When the maids leave, Rona starts ranting about how rude the other maids are to her. We feel you, Rona. Selene explains that they just do not respect her. Rona expresses her desire to help her. She wants Selene to be the true homemaker of the house. Oh, she's so sweet. Rona is loyal to her since she freed her from the slave market. She asked for the money from Camila, and it was the first and last request she had made from her mother-in-law. Since she is so eager, Selene asks her to retrieve some medicine from Raymond. Once she gets them, she instantly goes out to meet someone. Who is it, Selene? Selene visits her old workplace, the pharmacy, and asks the owner to examine the medicine and prescription. She wants to ensure its safety. Suddenly, the owner takes some pills himself, causing Selene to panic. He reassures her that the medicine is safe as the prescription matches it. However, it is a medicine designed only to make the patient numb the pain. Is it just me, or is that still a bit sus? What do you guys think? When she returns home, her mother-in-law asks where she went. Selene explains she visited a doctor for resuscitation medicine to help with conceiving. Camila reacts badly, feeling replaced by the idea. Selene clarifies she's still trying to have children despite using Raymond's prescription and wants to make her own effort. Her next question shocks Camila so badly that she spits out her tea. She lost her class for a moment. Selene asks her why she was following her. Selene calmly asks Camila as to why she followed her the other day. With an undeniably gorgeous smile, Selene exclaims the words, "What a shame," after calling out her mother's worthless behavior. A direct hit on the head is the only way to deal with Camila. Yes, serves her right. But our ever-smiling Selene doesn't stop there. She sarcastically complimented Greta's tea, emphasizing that indeed, servants and masters are too similar. She knows very well that Greta is trying to make her raise the white flag. She even drops hints that there are some people who don't like her role as the Duchess. Our girl's killing it out here. Feeling lonely, Ahmad is killing time by looking out the window while Selene keeps staring at him. He notices that and immediately throws some death glares as a warning. Of course, Selene protests that she has the right to look because, well, she has eyes. Oh, come on, Ahmad. You can't control us from looking. I mean, check yourself out in the mirror and you'll know what we're referring to. He's the youngest knight in the Empire, and that title caused many young girls to fawn over him. Including us. If he wasn't sick, he would probably marry a noble and beautiful woman and not a girl with big debts. Why don't you marry fangirls instead, Ahmad? We're the best. Selene keeps teasing Ahmad about it and even imitates the way he speaks. But Selene is used to the way he talks to her, so she asks him not to avoid having a conversation with her. After the snake incident, they can't walk for a while. Ahmad sends her away, but she stays and asks about his journey as the Knight of the Sun. He explains it briefly, and she seems curious about the Imperial Palace, but he has nothing more to share. Perhaps his very existence has been forgotten. Ahmad, how can one forget someone as handsome as you? Selene tries to cheer him up, saying he'll be better in no time. Ahmad becomes irritable because he doesn't know why she's being good to him. Unless she wants a baby. Who wouldn't want one, especially with you? But Selene just wants to make him feel better. She then excuses herself shortly after to avoid being suspected. Ahmad can't believe how expressive Selene is. At first, he thought she just had a talent for acting, but she was a woman who was always bewildered. During his seizures, he could still see her from a distance, neither close nor far. A few days later, Raymond informs Selene that Camila is planning to bring her to a psychiatric hospital, saying that Camila is concerned she is acting differently than before. Camila, if there is anyone that needs psychiatric help, it's you. After Raymond leaves, Selene realizes she needs to calm down since she's been acting strangely twice in a week. She knows Camila might be wary of her. Then, an unfamiliar servant tells her to go to the Sparrow Room where she meets countesses from the Empire. The tea party seems elegant, but they discuss gossip and politics. One countess mentions Veronica, who was engaged to Ahmad when she was a child. Selene is so surprised since the Veronica they are talking about is no other than the protagonist of the novel. Is there some kind of magic at work here? Later that night, Selene seems pretty exhausted. This plot twist isn't in the book she read. So, she starts counting sheep just to fall asleep, but then something slimy is crawling underneath her blanket. A snake! Yikes! Selene panics but recalls Ahmad's advice to stay still. They catch the snake successfully. She decides to go to town with Rona before sunrise, realizing it's a warning. At the pharmacy, her friend identifies it as a foreign snake causing itchiness and suspects someone might be raising it for a different purpose. Its venom has monetary benefits, especially useful in producing painkillers or birth control pills. What could be the sole purpose of raising this type of snake, and for what cause? Returning home, Selene finds her room's lights on, suspecting someone snooping. She tells Rona to act oblivious and heads towards Ahmad's room. Just then, someone grabs her, pinning her against the wall. A knight can recognize right away that she's trying to go in. She has no choice but to tell Ahmad the truth. He can clearly tell that she needs his help. Suddenly, a servant is calling him regarding the missing Duchess, but he pretends that he's with her the whole time, as he untangled her hair and grabs her waist closer to his chest. Why do you have to make our hearts go wild just like that? It turns out that Greta suspects the Duchess for going somewhere in the middle of the night, but Ahmad orders the servant not to think anything bad about his wife. Go tell him, husband. When the servant leaves, Ahmad asks her why she has so many enemies who doubt her whereabouts. He's so frank that it hurts her a bit. Well, he's not wrong. That night, Selene reflects on what Ahmad said. Those who know what power feels like don't give up easily. But from now on, she will steal it. As you should. The next day, Selene enters Camilla's room, but she gets reprimanded about last night's romance right away. Though Ahmad's health may be good, doing it too much isn't good. Seriously, Camila, don't you want an heir? Hush, don't complain. Moving on to their conversation, she knows that Camila orders Greta to get rid of all the snakes in the garden because she's in charge of the safety inside the palace. And so, she wants her mother-in-law to punish Greta for letting one slip in her room. Selena reports Greta's misconduct to Camila, requesting her temporary dismissal as head servant. Before Selena can elaborate further, Greta enters the room with desserts, making it challenging to address the issue fully. Then, Selena pulls out her card that if snakes had appeared in Ahmad's room, it would be horrible. Nice one, Selena. Greta falls down to her knees and tries to give an explanation, but Camila stops her. Selena thinks that Greta is weaker than she looks. Suddenly, Ahmad enters the room and agrees to his wife's opinion. Oh, what a supportive husband! He even emphasizes how Greta acts more suspicious rather than worried when Selena wasn't in her room last night. He's indeed a knight in shining armor. Still, Greta argues that Selena sneaked out, but he claims that he was with her and that the designated day to do it requires none of her permission, emphasizing that his wife's honor is his honor. How manly. #melting. Then, Ahmad leaves, but something isn't right with him, so Selena follows him. But before that, Camila assigns her to replace Greta's position for a while. In Ahmad's room, she checks his temperature and finds out that he has a fever. She needs to call Raymond, but he grabs her wrist and rests on her chest, saying that she's too noisy. Ugh, this progress, you guys! We might have a little Ahmad/Selena sooner than we think. Shortly after Raymond checks up on him, Selena is relieved that it isn't something serious, and so she orders Rona to bring some water. But Emma aggressively reminds him that it is her job. Well, who's this extra? And when it comes to Ahmad, Emma seems a little extra and serves him with utmost dedication. I admire your dedication, but back off, Emma. Selena takes charge and administers the medicine to Ahmad against his orders, insisting on staying to save his life. The following day, she demands all the ledgers from Greta and seeks butler Colton's assistance. Surprisingly, Colton discovers a change in the business partner's information in the ledger. Since the transaction is credit, it shouldn't be changed easily unless someone's doing it for a purpose of embezzlement. Something's really fishy with her even at first. Later that afternoon, Selena is having a hard time reading a book she borrowed from Jean because the languages are different. Then she proceeds to Ahmad's room. Selena asks him to read the books together, pretending to know the languages so he will help her, but Ahmad starts to translate some of it. 100 dishes for a hot night with dear honey. Special recipes for invigorating hot nights. How to turn my husband into an animal. Selena is too embarrassed to hear more, so Ahmad keeps teasing her about it. She tries to get the book from him, but he's just too tall. And because of that, they both fell to the floor. We know what you're doing, Ahmad. Sneaky, huh? Then Ahmad asks her again about the reason why she keeps pretending to be sincere when she saved him last time. Selena keeps beating around the bush, but Ahmad grabs her wrist and asks her what her true nature is. At that moment, Selena is so desperate to find an excuse, and the biggest mistake of it is to tell him that she loves him. But the truth is, she just wants him to live as long as he can so she can get out of the mansion safely. I mean, though currently it isn't love that's letting her do all these things for him, but we know for sure she's genuine about it. Ahmad isn't going to let her go without hearing her reason. Selena's shaking up inside, but she manages to tell him that it all started when he caught the snake for her. Ahmad's eyes widened. He turns around and orders her to leave. Selena, that's not a good thing to lie about. Back in her room, Rona serves 2 pills. The other one is a new special prescription to support her strong will to conceive. Rona is even giggling to remind her that it's the day to go to the nuptial chamber. Oh no, she is really a wicked mother. What are you going to do now, Selena? Raymond carefully selected a good day for conception by considering her menstrual cycle. Camila even brought in the famous astrologer Ratuz. According to the original Lady Crown, the fields she deals with through astrology are love, marriage, and pregnancy. That day, Ratuz predicted that she would get pregnant with twins. OMG, we're going to get twins? That would be amazing! We can't wait to see little Ahmad and Selena. Camila must have high expectations because of what the astrologer said, but Selene promises to herself that she will never get pregnant. Rona is so excited that she pushes Selene inside Ahmad's room. It should have been normal for her to enter, but that night, she seems anxious and makes some excuses to go to the next room. But Ahmad asks her to sit beside him on the bed. Did her confession spice up a little bit of his feelings? But Selene is so hesitant to do it, and so Ahmad grabs her waist and swiftly puts her down on the bed, asking if she likes it better that way instead. Ahmad, you are really something else. Selene is panicking and tells him not to joke around, but he's just doing something fun to fulfill his duties as her husband. Wait, we want fun too. She keeps giving him the reason that she just wants him to be healthy. But Ahmad argues that if she really loves him, then she must prove how much she does. He leans forward and whispers that if she wants to have her own child, she must act desperate for it, unless it is just another play she staged for him. Selene, you are really now in for a ride. Literally. It's been a few days since she hasn't seen him, but she hears from the servants that he doesn't go out and even skips his meals. Hold up, what is happening? Lorna notices that Selene's been weak and just keeps on embroidering all week, and so she asks her about an old bag. It contains all of her things when she first came to the mansion, and so Rona suggests that Selene should change her clothes because it will suit her very well. Clothes also represent the bearer's dignity, but her role is not for social activities. She's just to give birth to an heir. But still, Selene gives in to Rona's suggestions. She is so excited that she contacts Camilla's dressing department. No, Rona is just too cute. She represents us. In there, Paula, the leading designer of the dressing room, guides her to try on dresses that she'll definitely be satisfied with. After choosing some, Paula asks her to come to her dressing room again when the Duke is a lot better because these days, it is very popular for wives to go there with their husbands. Selene is saddened to hear it since he definitely doesn't care about her. But setting that aside, she's still worried about his health, and if this continues, then her project life extension for Ahmad will surely fail. That's right, Selene, don't give up. When she enters the room, it's quite cold. Ahmad is on his bed with blankets all over his body. A person who is sensitive like him will know as soon as she comes in. But when she pulls over the blanket, his body's temperature isn't normal. Out of panic, she orders Emma to call the doctor immediately. Ahmad is barely conscious when he hears how much she begs for him not to die. The next day, Selene wakes up from guarding him all night. But all she hears first thing in the morning is Ahmad's cold treatment, asking if she wants to hear him praising the Duchess for taking care of her husband. Now what's his problem? Selene is somehow insulted, and so she tells him to get his hands off of her. Her next response is kinda cold, telling him just to talk later. In her room, she remembers that Ahmad always locks himself in his room when he becomes sick. She should have noticed it right away. Then, she opens her old bag and finds out that the contract is in there. If anyone sees it, she will get into trouble. Maybe someone already did, oh no! Paula sends her a doll gift as a token, but she is more concerned about Ahmad, so she decides to make peace with him. In the garden, Ahmad notices her new dress, and so he compliments her as he holds little strands of her hair. She is so startled by his actions, but she doesn't let it get into her head. Then, Ahmad asks why she carries a doll around like a child. She explains how Paula made it for her, but Ahmad smirks and tells her that it's looking prettier. At first, she thinks that he compliments her again, but he makes it clear that the doll looks prettier. Ugh, rude! Selene coughs to shake off her embarrassment. To change the topic, she opens up about his dislikes for her, but she just asks him to trust her. She indeed wants to help him get better, and when he recovers, he won't have to see her anymore because she will simply disappear from his life. Do you really want to leave our daddy, your husband behind, Selene? There's a long line waiting for a vacancy. And if you do, well, more chances for us, I guess. Ahmad is the commander of the Empire's strongest knights, which means that when he recovers his health, she'll be kicked out of the house immediately, and as compensation, she'll be able to save her family from debts. But Ahmad knows better, asking her if she thinks that he will fall for her act. He knows that she just wants alimony. Selene clenches her fists and finally snaps, telling him that he has no idea how hard life is for her. Yes, one shouldn't judge someone that harshly, you know. This guy's still a bit insensitive. Then a sudden thought comes to mind. Ahmad became bedridden precisely when she didn't come to see him for a few days. Who will benefit the most if he dies? Ahmad's father has 5 brothers. If he dies, the property will automatically be transferred to his uncles or their children. If so, he has to think more about the possibility that someone will try to harm him. But Ahmad just calmly says that he will die, so nothing will change if they continue to talk about it. It's like he already accepted his fate. In her room, Selena is bombarded with a lot of thoughts going through her mind. Rona notices it, so she suggests that she should drink wine with the master so the atmosphere between them will be better. Rona, we know what you were trying to do here, and good thinking. High five. Ahmad is allowed to drink in moderation, and so she enters his room and asks him to drink with her. He is contemplating because the wine smells so good. Who can even resist alcohol? Selene pours out the wine, but he still refuses to drink, and so she tells him to sit back and watch her drink. Ahmad is having a good time, figuring out how she will behave after the first glass. Well, she gets drunk easily, so he tells her to go back to her room and rest. But then he asks her the reason why she comes to the room in the first place. Well, she's drunk, so she's being honest to tell him that it's because there is a snack in his room. Then she points at his face, saying that there is no restaurant as good as his room in the world. Ahmad's face turns red. Selene, alcohol makes you bolder, huh? Also, she thinks that maybe Ahmad has a low tolerance of alcohol despite being the captain of the Knights. Suddenly, he grabs the bottle and drinks it out of embarrassment. Or is it because of what she said? Selene offers to pour him another shot, but because she's drunk, she accidentally pours it in the wrong place. Ahmad tells her to go back to her room for the second time, but before that, she has to clean up the wine she spilled. Selene is too frank in saying that he's too narrow-minded and has a bad personality, but Ahmad isn't really a caring person to begin with. Then, Selene suggests that they should bet. There's one more bottle left, and the one who falls first will have to grant the other's wish. That's a dangerous play, Selene. Ahmad asks her what she will wish for if she ever wins. He thinks that she just wants money. Of course, she needs money, but there's no such thing as a level. It's a shame to say it, but before, she wanted to earn a little more money, so she worked hard and took a lot of jobs all at once. No matter how tired she was, she endured everything because she didn't want her siblings to suffer. Oh, poor Selene. A lot of us breadwinners feel for you. Ahmad suddenly apologizes because he didn't know that her family was like that, and so he promises to pay more attention later. Then, Selene asks him to drink if he really is sorry for her, and if he wins, she will leave. Ahmad can't deny it. She offers a pretty good contract, but she accidentally pours the wine onto his... I'll leave it to you. Was it really accidental, though? She panics, and without thinking twice, she starts rubbing off the alcohol from his pants. Ahmad yells at her to stop. Now she thinks he really hates her to the point that he doesn't want her to touch him even a little. Selene, you're making it hard for him. Again, literally. She is about to leave, but Ahmad pulls her back. For the past 2 years, there hasn't been a time when he touches her. So in order to prove that he has no physiological weaknesses, he leans forward and finally kisses her on the lips. Finally, our long-awaited kiss! Selene is totally taken aback by the sudden kiss Ahmad has done to her. One should never underestimate the power of alcohol. It brings out one's true desires. But we don't need alcohol to confess that we totally desire you, Ahmad. She can't believe what just happened and questions herself if she is truly kissing Ahmad. Then the wine strikes again, and she pinches Ahmad's cheeks to see if he's real. Thinking that it's all just because of the alcohol, she initiates another kiss with Ahmad. Ahmad can't control himself and wants more, so he brings Selene to his bedroom and lies her on the bed with him on top of her. Ahmad starts undressing himself, and before he indulges with Selene's lips and presses his body against hers, he tells her that he wants her too. Mini Ahmad and Selene are on the way! Such a steamy night for the both of them indeed. Selene is such a lucky girl. When morning comes, Selene wakes up with Ahmad sleeping beside her. Even when he is sleeping, he is such a sight to see. I mean, you know what I mean. Selene then remembers what happened last night and is horrified, realizing how their drinking moment turned out. So she dresses herself and goes to her own bedroom where Rona welcomes her with a mirror for her to see the love marks visible all over her neck. Someone just had a delicious feast. Wanting to cover the marks, Selena asks for Rona's help to put makeup on her neck. Speaking of makeup, Rona mentions that Lady Louise's makeup has been the talk of the town lately. Upon hearing the name of Lady Louise, Selena's intrigued because she feels like it's someone she knows, and even wonders if the name is really Louise. After Selena and Camila have tea together, Selene takes a walk outside the mansion, lost in her own thoughts about what just happened between her and Ahmad. She then bumps into Ahmad, who wants to talk with her. Not having the courage to talk with him yet, she tricks Ahmad by pointing out that there is a snake and runs away. Why are you running, baby girl? Come face Mr. Pleasureness. Selene arrives at her chamber, panting, and tries to calm down. Rona informs her that she hasn't found her other pair of earrings, which hold sentimental value for Selene, as they were a birthday gift from her father and serve as her lucky charm. She suspects they might be lost in Ahmad's room, but doesn't want to invade his privacy. Selene decides to consider her wedding ring as her new lucky charm instead. On the other hand, Ahmad is so disturbed by why Selene ran away from him earlier. As he thinks of reasons for Selene's action, he comes across the thought that maybe his performance in bed was bad. If you're really worried about that, Ahmad, we volunteer to help you find out. Worrying about the situation, he lies on his bed and sees Selene's lost earring. So it's really in his room. It must have been a wild night that Selene's earrings came off. A few days later, Selene continues to avoid Ahmad and keeps herself busy in investigating Greta's embezzlement, which she confirmed after going through all the ledgers. She also suspects that Greta is the one behind the snake incident and tries to find evidence to prove it. Greta really gives off the smell of being a very sus character. With the help of Rona, Selene gets hold of Greta's room key, so she goes to the room and investigates, trying to find anything suspicious that she can use as evidence to pin Greta. But she ends up finding none. We'll maybe find one soon for sure. In the garden, Selene is walking, lost in thought, wondering if her suspicion about Greta is wrong and if someone else is behind the snake incident. Who could be the real mastermind behind it? As she continues to think about her investigation, she bumps into Ahmad. Ahmad then confronts her and asks her if she's been enjoying playing hide-and-seek with him the past few days. He's clearly annoyed by Selene trying to avoid him. Holding her hand, he pleads with her not to run away from him anymore and that he wants to talk with her. No, he's finally showing his sweeter and caring side. Selene and Ahmad find themselves sitting together on a bench, and Ahmad places his hand over Selene's hand that's in between them. How romantic! Ahmad starts their conversation by mentioning that night, to which Selene refers to as an accident, since both of them were drunk when the moment happened. Ahmad replies, trying to explain what he feels about it, but Selene immediately cuts him off by saying how an unpleasant night it must have been for him. So they should just forget about it and pretend that nothing happened between them. How could you just assume that and decide things on your own, Selene, without hearing Ahmad's say on what he feels about what happened between the two of you? Ahmad stands up and grabs Selene's hand, responding that if that's what she really wants, to forget everything, then he'll do it as she wishes. Oh, please don't do this, Selene. With pain showing in his eyes, he puts the lost earring he found on his bed into Selene's hand and walks away. Our Ahmad is hurting. How could you just break our Ahmad's heart, Selene? If you're not going to take him, we will. After some busy days for Selene, she decides to talk with Ahmad since their last conversation turned out bad, and she has to take responsibility for her actions. Good, as you should. Selene arrives at Ahmad's chamber and sees him reading a book. She tries to get his attention multiple times, but ends up failing. That's what you get after hurting our Ahmad. Ahmad keeps his focus on the book he's reading and gives a one-word response to everything that Selene asks and says. Annoyed by his cold response, she exclaims that he should answer her properly, but Ahmad cuts her off by slamming his book closed and tells her to leave for he wants to have some rest. With Selene's patience waning, she then frustratedly exits his room. As she stops along the hallway, she thinks of Ahmad's actions towards her and comments that he is clearly avoiding her. She suddenly remembers the time she ran away from him. Whoopsies. Tasting your own medicine, Selene? Now you get to feel how Ahmad feels when you were avoiding him. To distract herself from Ahmad, Selene searches for Noire in the garden. The mansion's servants join in to help find the cat. While everyone is busy looking, Ahmad unexpectedly appears. Selene takes Ahmad to a secluded part of the garden to talk. They discuss Noire's whereabouts, and Selene expresses her concern. Ahmad assures her that Noire is safe since they've removed any potential threats like snakes. Selene reasons that Noire might have been chased by a mouse since she once found Noire stuck in the chimney trying to escape from a mouse. Ahmad finds it amusing that a cat would be afraid of a mouse. That's really pretty ironic, though. Selene replies that people don't just raise cats for practical purposes like catching mice, but because they are a source of joy. She further relates to a situation where a wife is not just for having children, and children are much more than just being heirs. A brilliant analogy you have, Selene. As Selene gets carried away by her emotions, she decides to walk away to find Noire. But just as she turns back, Ahmad suddenly collapses on the ground, shaking. Fear and worry consume Selene, and she rushes to check on Ahmad. She kneels on the ground and carries Ahmad in her arms, crying as she pleads for him to wake up and not die in her arms. Oh no, our Ahmad! Moments later, Ahmad opens his eyes and sees Selene crying. He smirks and says that he didn't think she would really cry. As it turns out, Ahmad was just playing with her, and Selene totally fell for it. Well, you gave us a mini heart attack too, Ahmad. Selene isn't happy with the drama he just pulled and exclaims that his death is not something he should joke about. Guilt consumes Ahmad as he sees how worried Selene is for him, so he makes a promise to her. He grabs her hands and swears that he will not die in front of her eyes. Just don't die, okay? Taken aback by Ahmad's gesture, Selene cherishes the moment. After parting ways, she continues her search for Noire but remains unsuccessful. Back at the mansion, Rona delivers news that Ahmad has found Noire, prompting Selene to rush to him. She finds Ahmad covered in cat scratches, but he diverts the conversation to Noire. He explains that Noire is currently being cleaned and that he found Noire after searching all the chimneys of the mansion, since he learned from her that she once found Noire in a chimney. Wow, you really went to such great lengths, Ahmad. That's so thoughtful of you. Just after Selene expresses her gratitude to Ahmad, one of the maids delivers Noire to them. After Noire is bathed, it turns out that the cat's actual fur is pure white. It means that all the black covering her was soot and dirt. Selene then squeezes Noire as she expresses how she badly missed the cat and asks why she was hiding in the chimney. Ahmad then answers her that there is a reason why Noire was staying in the chimney. Noire jumps off from Selene's arms and runs to her kittens. What adorable kittens she has! She then wonders what she will do with Noire and the kittens. Ahmad answers that she can keep them all in the mansion. He believes that even though Noire won't be useful in catching mice, she could be useful in other ways. Oh, he means that the cat can be a source of joy. He really remembers everything that Selene has told him. Can we photocopy this man, please? In her bed, Selene is thinking about how she can return the favor to Ahmad, but nothing comes to mind on what she will give to him, as she thinks that Ahmad has everything already. In air, Selene, in air. Rona then makes a suggestion of embroidering a handkerchief since she's very skilled at it. But Selene disagrees with it and doesn't like the idea, as she thinks that such a gift is something for one's special someone. Isn't Ahmad your special someone yet? Then, something just pops into her mind. Early morning the next day, Selene and Rona ride Jean's carriage to go to the market. It is revealed that she is planning to cook a dish for Ahmad and wants to personally go to the market to buy a special fish. After they arrive at the market, Selene and Rona go to the auction of the legendary fish, Selena. The fish is believed to be a rare one and can cure illnesses. During the auction, Selene bids the highest and wins the Salem. Afterward, while heading back to the carriage with Rona and Jean, Selene suddenly bumps into a woman who appears noble. They apologize and are about to part ways when Selene notices the woman drop something and asks for her attention. Selene gives it to her and the woman thanks her before they go their separate ways. Who could this woman be? Back in the mansion, Selene makes preparations for the dish she will make with the saloon fish. She even studied the recipe with Jean all night yesterday and got some cuts on her hand, but it's no big deal for her. Oh, she really puts effort for our loving Ahmad. Way to go! As she is about to begin to grab the fish, Noire appears out of nowhere and grabs the fish first with her mouth and runs away. Oh, Noire! Return that fish right now! That's a very special fish you're running away with. Determined to get the fish back, Selene immediately runs to follow Noire and arrives outside the mansion. When Selene stops to catch her breath, Ahmad appears in front of her with Noire in his hand. Ahmad then asks Selene if she was chasing Noire, to which she agrees. Suddenly, Noire frees the fish from her mouth and it falls to the ground. Now all of Selene's efforts just to purchase that precious fish are now in vain since she can't use the contaminated fish anymore. In the dining room, the dishes that Selene cooked for Ahmad are set. She made new dishes from what she initially planned to cook. She then expresses to Ahmad that this is her way of showing her gratitude to him for rescuing Noire. To thank Selene for the meal, Ahmad invites her to tea. While Ahmad is sipping his tea, Selene can't help but observe how elegant he is and appreciate the beauty of his hands. Ooh, those hands would feel so good. Just kidding. Please don't cancel me. She realizes that Ahmad is not wearing their wedding ring, so she inquires Ahmad about it and tells him that it feels unfair that she's the only one wearing the ring. After a series of arguments, and when Ahmad sees how sad Selene is about him not wearing the ring, he decides to get and wear the ring. Can't let your wife be sad, could you, Ahmad? When Selene sees the ring on his finger, she smiles and says that it suits him. Selene then brings up the topic about their bet they had when they drank wine. Since she was the winner of their bet, she can get a wish. Ahmad then asks her what it is that she wishes for, to which she beamingly answers that she wants to have a date with him. In the midst of the crowd in town, Ahmad and Selene are walking together for their date. Their first stop is a dessert cafe. Looking at the display of sweets, she can't decide on what to choose. Seeing her dilemma, Ahmad orders everything that is on display. Ugh, the power of money. He isn't just a duke for nothing, eh? As they go to settle at their table, both of them are attracting the attention of the people in the cafe. Selene is wary of the attention she's getting, but Ahmad reassures her and tells her not to care about others. That's right, Selene. Today is about you two only and no one else. Then their cakes arrive. Excitedly, Selene enjoys the cakes on the table while Ahmad observes her with a peculiar demeanor. When Selene notices his odd behavior, she questions if he's only doing things for her because of their bet, reassuring him that he doesn't need to force himself. Surprisingly, Ahmad replies to her that having this date with her feels like he was freed from a prison and he hasn't had this much fun in his life. Oh, that's good to hear, Ahmad. Selene can't believe Ahmad's response to her, but Ahmad assures her that he doesn't say things he doesn't mean. Oh, a man of great words. Ahmad then invites her to go to their next date spot. As they walk along the street, Selene's mind is preoccupied with Veronica and can't help herself from thinking about her from time to time. She used to think of Veronica as the female lead of the novel Lady Crown, but now it bothers her so much that Veronica was once engaged to Ahmad. Another weird thing is that there's no mention of Veronica's engagement to Ahmad in the novel. Seems like the plot is having major changes, huh? Let's just hope that it's a happy ending for our MCs. Anyway, Ahmad notices that Selene seems so distracted and asks her what's bothering her. So Selene grabs the opportunity to ask Ahmad about his past engagement with Veronica. She continues by telling him that she heard how beautiful and talented Veronica is and wonders what kind of person she is. Sounds like a wife trying to coax some response that could lead to jealousy, huh, Selene? Ahmad then replies to her that he doesn't remember anything about Veronica, and continues by telling that Marquess Lotange, Veronica's father, broke off their engagement upon knowing that he is sick. Safe answer, Ahmad. Selene then tells Ahmad about what she heard, that Veronica might be back in their kingdom. Smells like a love triangle is coming. Intrigued by Selene's questions about Veronica, Ahmad asks her for the reason behind it. Selene reveals that Veronica and Ahmad could have married if not for his unknown illness. She assures him that she'll keep her promise to him to regain his health. Ahmad notices the earrings Selene is wearing, the same ones he found in his room, and asks who gave them to her. Selene responds that they are from someone special to her, a man. Hearing it, Ahmad's mood becomes sour. Jealous much, Ahmad? Selene finds it funny seeing his reaction and tells him that it was just her father who gifted the earrings. Selene then tells him how much she treasures the earrings since her father died not long after she received them from him. Remembering how Ahmad found the earrings for her, she extends her gratitude to him. To end their date memorably, Ahmad decides to give Selene a gift. So when Selene answers him that she wants a hairpin after he asks her what she wants, he then brings her to a jewelry shop. A Arriving at the jewelry shop, Ahmad is recognized by the attendant as the Duke. And when the attendant turns his attention to Selene, he addresses her as Ahmad's lover, to which Ahmad immediately corrects that the lady with him is his wife. Someone is proud. Ahmad then gets Selene's attention and points to a hairpin he thinks will suit her. It is a hairpin in the shape of a crescent moon. He then tries the hairpin in Selene's hair. It turns out to look pretty on her. Nice choice, Ahmad. Back in the mansion, Rona can't help but comment on Ahmad's gift to Selene and says that it isn't just an ordinary gift because it symbolizes Ahmad's love for her. But for Selene, even if the hairpin expresses Ahmad's love for her, she can't be happy about it since their relationship is just bound by a contract and nothing more. A servant then comes to her room and asks her to attend the tea party organized by Camila in the garden. Even though confused about the sudden invitation by Camila, she prepares herself for the event. Arriving at the garden, Selene is welcomed by the different ladies from different houses and clans in the garden, together with Camila. Countess Lapong then gives attention to Selene's new hairpin and tells that it has been the talk of the town since everyone heard that the Duke personally went to the jewelry shop with her and purchased the hairpin. It's the reason why they invited Selene to their tea party, to see her, as everyone is talking about her already. Oh, just being typical nosy people, I see. Selene is surprised at how fast the news has spread already about her date with Ahmad, and also wonders if it's really the only reason why Camila invited her to the party. While the ladies are talking about how romantic Selene and Ahmad were, Selene is in her own world thinking about the real deal between her and Ahmad. Lady Mordes then points out the empty chair and asks Camila if it is a spare chair, but Camila replies that she personally prepared it for someone she's waiting for. Just then, someone appears, and Camila calls her name Veronica. Now that's not good. Selene recognizes Veronica as the girl she bumped into in the market before, the time when she went to buy the Salem fish. Meanwhile, Camila sweetly welcomes Veronica's presence and introduces her to everyone. She then assists her in seating next to Selene, who is still dumbfounded by Veronica's appearance. What could possibly happen now that Selene's rival has finally arrived? Camila seems to be fond of Veronica since it's evident on her face how happy she is while talking to her, especially about family matters. It's probably because their families are close to each other. Meanwhile, Selene starts to feel kind of awkward. Shortly, Veronica formally introduces herself and expresses how meeting Ahmad's wife is an honor. They have known each other since they were children, so she always calls the Duke by his name. Selene then notices that Camila didn't formally introduce her to Veronica before. She only shows more interest in Lady Latronger than her own daughter-in-law. The ladies are invested in Veronica's business as they shower her with questions about her work. Moreover, one of the ladies assumes that she got back sooner than expected because of the war. The relationship between the Lilos Kingdom and the Empire isn't looking good. Before, there used to be a fight, but fortunately, they decided to sign the armistice after the diplomatic relationship was set. However, there have been more lawsuits lately. It seems like Lilos is no longer scared of the Empire. Also, the post of Knight Commander is vacant now, so it's worrisome. But Camila is already starting to take some action. It involves the dismissal of the Knights of Duke Ifrit. She thinks that her plan is for the best. Moments later, Selene stands up and excuses herself. She has to do something important, so she needs to go first. Afterward, she hurriedly runs to find Ahmad. He has been on sick leave for 5 years already. If he decides to dismiss this time, he will probably no longer belong to the Sun Knights. Well, that means he would have to return to the Knight title. In Selene's perspective, she doesn't have an idea about his sickness's origin, and she thinks that he's doing fine, but will he actually be fine? After looking for him everywhere, Selene finds Ahmad in the training ground. He used to practice sportsmanship there since he was a child. However, since he was sick, the training ground was never used, but today, he's back practicing. She is worried, but she can't get close to him easily. Presently, he looks so much worse that he seems to be broken. She does not know what to do anymore, and she starts to feel dizzy. Subsequently, Jean shows Selene a new menu that he has developed. He even tried using a special sauce, hoping that it would suit her taste. He then expresses how worried he is after noticing that the couple has not been interested in eating these past few days. It has been a week since Selene last met Ahmad. She thinks that there will be something new if she comforts him. Moreover, he even said that he would take care of himself, but now, everything seems like a blur. The dish looks delicious since it's made from salmon. However, the sight of it makes her feel like puking. Jean and the maid start to worry as they immediately help her. It seems like she doesn't like the smell. Shortly, Jean apologizes for making a mistake with the dish, but Selena explains that it's not his fault since she's been feeling so bad these days. All the food that she normally eats every day suddenly becomes so hard to eat. That seems unusual. It seems like she is experiencing some symptoms of pregnancy. Jean assumes that she might be pregnant, which is shocking. He then explains that what she is currently going through is like the common morning sickness in mothers. Memories from their steamy nights start to flash back. It would be surprising if she ever gets pregnant just by that night. Most especially, just by one shot? The maid then congratulates her, then attempts to call a doctor right away. But Selena stops her. She wants to keep it a secret unless she is finally sure, since she doesn't want to mess everything up. If her pregnancy is real, she wonders how Ahmad will react. She then starts overthinking things, but one thing's for sure, she will definitely protect it. While pampering Selena, the maid asks about her final decision. Today, she decides to tell Camila. She considers calling the doctor first, but then the word would get to her in no time. The best thing to do is for Selena to tell Camila first. Later that night, when Selena is about to knock on the door, she hears Camila and Raymond talking. Based on their conversation, it seems like Ahmad had always known that he was going to be dismissed from the position of Knight Commander. Camila feels terrified, especially because of her son's reaction. He acted so calmly when he heard about the dismissal. In that case, how is he going to react when he hears that he inherited her family's disease? Raymond tries to calm her down as he assures her that they still have some time. However, all those who contracted the disease ended up dead. They even experienced seizures and fevers before dying. Moreover, it's an incurable disease. No, he's too young to die. With that, Camila needs an heir as soon as possible since her only hope is her son's child. After that conversation, Selena immediately walks away without telling her mother-in-law about the possible pregnancy. She then concludes that the reason behind Ahmad's pessimistic behavior before must be because he already knows about his disease. She feels disappointed that no one told her about what was happening in the mansion. It's probably because no one considers her a true duchess. Moreover, if she failed to deliver an heir, Camila would have left her alone. Afterwards, Selena runs to Ahmad's room and immediately hugs him. She is more worried about him than about what is going to happen to her in the future. She doesn't want him to die. Meanwhile, he doesn't have a clue about what's going on. Ahmad just calms her down and assures her that he is there for her. No, that is so sweet. When Selena realizes that she has been hugging Ahmad for quite some time now, she feels embarrassed. She is so worried that she keeps crying like a child. Momentarily, the maid arrives with medicine. She catches the couple hugging, so she feels like she's disturbing their moment together. Selena then starts blushing and leaves the room shortly. Their moment was indeed cut short. While walking away, she realizes that she didn't even utter a single word earlier. Moreover, she hasn't told him that she accidentally eavesdropped on Camila's conversation with Raymond. She starts to wonder if telling Ahmad about bearing his child will give him hope. Shortly, she notices snake skin on the hallway floor. With that, she assumes that there is still one left wandering around the mansion. Momentarily, Noire, the cat, then arrives while carrying a bigger snakeskin. Its sudden appearance slightly scares Selena as she looks around trying to find where the skin is coming from. Later on, the servants start checking one of the maid's room as they tie her up. Eventually, they find a locked box full of Ahmad's things inside. On top of that, the same snake found in Selene's bathroom before is on her property. That's so weird. When Camila arrives, she starts interrogating the maid who was responsible for the snakes in the mansion. She questions her about Ahmad's stuff that is in her room. The maid then explains that he personally gave it to her. The maid's response makes Camila furious since the thought of her looking at her son with her dirty eyes gives her goosebumps. She then gives orders to hit the maid and chase her away as a punishment. In addition, she wants to fire up all her stuff and eliminate all the things she's ever touched. It is fortunate enough that Camila hasn't been ordered to hang the maid up as she screams for forgiveness. Meanwhile, Selena feels like puking as soon as she hears the word hang. Her reaction surprises everyone in the room, most especially her mother-in-law. Selena has no choice but to explain that she started having some symptoms like headaches or nausea not long ago. Just by mentioning those symptoms, Camila already knows what it's about. However, she makes it clear that she's not completely sure about it yet. Camila then orders her to call Raymond right away, even if he just left the mansion. Shortly, Ahmad arrives in the room, so their conversation is cut short. Before Selene can say anything, his mother directly tells him about having an heir. She should have just let Selene tell him, though. His reaction shows a dislike for the news. Meanwhile, his mother feels positive about it, especially since Ratuz, an astrologer, predicted it before. In addition, she had a good dream, which she takes as a sign. Momentarily, Dr. Raymond arrives. He then checks Selene's condition afterwards, but things are quite unclear for him, so he can't give an exact answer right away. To follow up, he asks about the last time Selene slept with the Duke. With Camila and Ahmad's presence, she starts getting flustered. No, that's awkward. She is now put into an awkward position since it's a private matter. However, Raymond needs an answer to figure out which day she started conceiving. It takes her quite a while to answer. I would be so embarrassed if I were her too. Even if she has started conceiving, it is still too soon to confirm it. For now, Raymond says Selene is suffering from gastritis. He needs at least 1 more week to observe, and by then, he can give them a certain answer. Now that the couple is left alone, Selene opens up about the night when they slept together. For Ahmad, it's only natural if she has a child with him. However, she thinks that he doesn't like her to be pregnant. After hearing that from her, he goes silent. After a few moments of silence, Ahmad explains that he doesn't know how long he can be with the child. Moreover, he even has no idea what will happen the next day. Oh, it must be because he thinks that he will definitely die anyway. In Selene's perspective, it's either he's cursing her or he's crying. Actually, he wants her to hate him for being a useless husband. As he is walking in the hallway, he overhears his mother's cruel plan for his wife. After she gives birth to Ahmad's child, Camila plans to bring her to Métis right away. The procedure is very simple, as long as they have the doctor's statement. The Métis is a mental hospital, and it is the most difficult place to escape. Camila is going to tell Melvin to fake the documents. Additionally, if Selene is crazy, it will be a good reason to divorce. How could she be so cruel? After hearing everything, Ahmad immediately questions Melvin, their family's private lawyer, to come to the mansion. As soon as Melvin arrives the very next day, they catch up first before proceeding to the main matter. On behalf of Ahmad, all legal obligations should be discussed with Camila since he is sick, including his wife's matter. She is using her son's disease to get on with her treacherous plan? What kind of mother is that? Melvin keeps everything confidential, especially since he and Camila trust each other. Moving on, Ahmad frankly tells him that he wants his wife to live an abundant life after he dies. With that, it means he wants to write a will, which surprises Melvin because he has never touched the will for 5 years since he wrote it. Furthermore, he asks some questions in relation to Selene, but he doesn't get any answers. Thus, he orders him to write the will without knowing anything. When he dies, Selene shall be given 10 billion ducat immediately. In addition, the Ifrit territory in the south of the empire will be given to his wife, Selene Ifrit. Ahmad also includes the jewels of the Ifrit family in the will as well. Apart from the inheritance, he requests to add a special clause. In his will, he wants to guarantee the safety of Selene Ifrit after his death. It's a provision to protect the safety of the Duchess. Although his child will have protection even when he's gone, it's a different case for his wife. Ahmad entrusts Melvin to ensure his wife's safety and her right to live a good life within the legal realm. He orders his will to be read immediately after his last breath, and until then, its contents should not be disclosed to anyone. Not even to his own mother. As it should be. Afterward, Melvin feels frustrated because of his position right now. On the other hand, in the span of 1 week, Selene feels like everything in the mansion starts revolving around her. The tension around the place is suffocating. But what if she's not pregnant, though? While eating alone in the room, a guest comes to see Selene. Shortly, Veronica enters the room with a huge smile. She wants to greet her formally since their last meeting didn't go well. Moreover, Camila asked her a favor that she couldn't refuse. It is to make Selene feel deflated. However, Veronica assures her not to be wary of her since she doesn't wish to have a future with the Duke. She adds that no one wants to end up alone after marriage, which upsets Selene. Although she was just being honest, her comment is still rude and insensitive. Actually, Duke Ifrit's family is not as powerful as before. As the Duke's wife, Selene should be aware of these kind of things. For Veronica, she has a feeling that she doesn't know that much, so she gives her some advice. Frankly, she likes Selene and wants to be friends with her. Their interaction makes Selene wonder about how the plot of the story is suddenly changing. Will she be able to change Ahmad's fate too? As mentioned before, there will be a war with the Kingdom of Lilos. That means the Duke will have to lead the army. However, he is in poor health. That's why Camila feels anxious. Moreover, she is desperate to try anything since their family's reputation is different now. Although Camila wants someone from a prestigious family to be her daughter-in-law, having Veronica in that position isn't going to happen. Momentarily, Veronica leaves the room. Selena then concludes that Camila is going to get rid of her, whether she has a child or not. She starts wondering what Veronica's goal was during her visit. Perhaps she wants Selena to fight Camila. Eventually, Camila finds out about Ahmad and Melbourne's private meeting. She is confident that Melbourne would tell her, but she asks her son anyway. He tells her that he knows about her plan to chase Selena away, or more like imprisonment. Ever since she came into the mansion, he already knew his mother's intentions. Camila doesn't want her position to be affected when her daughter-in-law's power is too strong. That's why she's doing everything that makes it easy on her end. In her defense, if Ahmad has a good health condition, then she wouldn't have to do such things. Reasons. Moreover, if he had married Veronica, she could get old peacefully. But that's not the case, so she has to prepare for the worst case. After a week, he will see if her plan is going well or not. Camila agrees to it as well. A week later, it's time for Selena's second checkup. It's time for the moment of truth. Dr. Raymond announces that she is not pregnant. Camila gets disappointed, but Selena feels relieved. Now she can focus more on her real purpose, which is getting a divorce from Ahmad. Huh? But why? Later that night, she comes to visit her husband in his room. She finds him staring at something. He tries to hide it, but she wants to know what it is. He eventually gives in and shows her a sword that he first received from his father. She assumes that he wants to give it to their child. Now that she has nothing to say, she decides to go. When she's about to leave, she slips, but he catches her swiftly as he grabs her by the waist. Oh, that's so cute! Ahmad immediately worries after she slips, but she's just fine. It doesn't matter if she falls down anyway, since she's not pregnant. No, it seems like there's tension here. Selena adds that he must be very happy if the one he likes carries his child, like Veronica. She assures him that he will eventually have a child who he can give the sword to after he gets better, and their divorce. Easy for you to say, Selena. However, as a knight, Ahmad never breaks his oath, not even once. Despite their contractual marriage, the fact that they are married will never change. When he mentions getting divorced before he dies, Selena gets discomposed as he talks about his death. However, it's incurable, and the only thing to do is to accept it. She then tells him that she knows about how it comes from his mother and has even researched it, but she can't pretend not to know about it and not to care. She wants him to tell her directly about the disease. With that, he explains that his blood is the problem. It's not a kind of sickness that can be cured. However, Selena believes that it will only get worse if he ignores it, but he already lost hope. Shortly, she decides to leave. Expecting him to open up a little is such a fool of her, since he's really stubborn. But he stops her since they are not done talking yet. She then tries to excuse herself as she's busy preparing to visit her siblings. Ahmad offers to go with her, which makes her panic. It turns out that her siblings actually don't know that she got married. After a long dispute with Ahmad, Selena finally convinces him not to come with her when she visits her siblings. A sigh of relief leaves her, but the same cannot be said for Ahmad, as a scowl remains plastered on his face. Why wouldn't his own wife allow him to meet her siblings? More so, why didn't she tell them she is married? The following day, Selena travels to Baron Ruden's residence. This is where her siblings are being looked after by their aunt Elda. A smile graces Selena's features as her siblings' faces come into view. Aw, she's such a sweet older sister. Seeing them, she knows she'd endure all the harshness in life just to be able to provide for them, even if that included Elda's demeaning remarks. Heading towards the house, she pulls one of her siblings aside and shares her sentiments with her. Should anything happen, they should immediately contact Selena. If only her brother Edgar could graduate soon, then she'd be able to get them a house with him being their guardian. Inside the residence, Elda does not hold back in pointing out her observations of Selena's progressing luxury. Without even hearing Selena's side, she interjects out loud that there could only be one explanation, that Selena had found herself a nobleman to provide for her. In front of everyone, she mentions that Selena could amount to nothing more than a side chick. Excuse me? How uncalled for! She doesn't even know anything. Before Selena could utter a word to defend herself, a man's voice interrupts Elda. The voice is all too familiar, and when Selena turns her head, it's none other than her husband, Ahmad Ifrit. Yes, knight in shining armor sticks true to his title. Coming to Celine's defense, Ahmad introduces himself in all his glory and royalty, announcing that he is Celine's husband. Realizing that he belonged to one of the most noble families, Elda is taken aback with shock. Tucking Celine in his arms, Ahmad, in his most intimidating glare and coldest demeanor, warns Elda to refrain from labeling her with insults. After all, Celine is his wife. His honor is her honor. Yeah, he's truly our Prince Charming. Accompanying Ahmad is the head butler, Colton, and he too intervenes in the matter, warning Elda to be mindful of her words upon addressing the Duchess of the Ifrit family. That's right, Colton, put her in her place. Ahmad hastily announces the termination of Elda's responsibilities to Celine's younger siblings. In her place, maids and nannies from the Ifrit household would take care of the children. Although Elda's face betrays her, she is left with no choice. As soon as Elda is out of sight, Celine's siblings immediately begin interacting with Ahmad, looking at him with sparkling awe in their eyes. At this point, Celine takes the opportunity to introduce Ahmad to all her siblings. When Ahmad interacts with the youngest, Maknae, Celine warns that he might be a little freaked out. However, before she can finish her warning, she is shocked to see Maknae being extremely carefree and trusting towards him. Seeing Ahmad hold up Maknae in his arms, she could only look at them with awe and wholesomeness. Oh, Ahmad would have been a great father indeed. Celine turns her attention towards her sister Lillian, who has been pressing her with details on how she came to be married. Not in the right state to disclose everything yet, Celine promises that she'll explain everything when she gets the chance. Once more, she shifts her focus to Ahmad. Just like Maknae, all her younger siblings crowd around him too. They seem to enjoy being around him, but even more endearing, Ahmad seemed to be enjoying being in their presence as well. No, they look like a big happy family. That night, Celine makes sure to sincerely express her gratitude to Ahmad. In return, Ahmad gazes at her with soft eyes. From this moment onwards, Ahmad gives her permission to visit her siblings freely. She need not seek permission from his mother. As the night fades, Celine begins to reflect on their relationship. Could there be any changes between them and in their relationship? Celine busies herself in the library. She tries to research more on Ahmad's condition, but there doesn't seem to be any content close to Ahmad's symptoms. Shifting her focus to Camila's family, the Noire family, she reads about their background. Turns out, they're a high-ranking noble family that ruled the freezing northern region. In her reading, she finds out that the Noire family retains strong boundaries against outsiders. Reading that line, a theory forms itself in her thoughts. Could their boundaries against outsiders also apply to their bloodline? Could it be that the Noire family practice blood purity, marrying people in their own family tree to preserve their pure line? Ugh, that's disgusting! If there wasn't a single trace of inbreeding in either of Ahmad's family sides, then there would be no possibility of him being sick. Realizing how ridiculous her theory sounded, she quickly shakes it off her head. Rona walks in the library, and Celine then asks her of any information she had on the Noire family. Rona's knowledge on the Noires are merely the same with that of Celine's, but one thing strikes them both as odd. Why did the Duke go to great lengths to find a wife from somewhere so far away? As the two go deeper into their thinking, they realize that one person could have more information: butler Colton. At another part of the mansion, Colton catches two maids red-handed for speaking ill about their employer's business. He hands them envelopes containing their compensation. Turns out, they've already been terminated by order of His Highness Ahmad. The maids should be taught a lesson for speaking ill so frequently. Rona offers to summon Colton herself while Celine retreats to her quarters first. Celine hopes that all goes well because she had an extremely urgent concern to ask butler Colton about Ahmad's disease. Celine gets straight to her point, directly confronting Colton about her suspicions of the inbreeding within the Noire family. Colton is taken aback by her words, and initially he claims to know nothing. However, Celine pleads with him, telling him that she once overheard Camila mentioning about her family's generational disease. Closing his eyes in defeat, Colton begins divulging what information he knew about the matter. A long time ago, the Noire family practiced inbreeding. What is this, Game of Thrones? However, the family became aware of the dangers of their practice, which is why they married into other clans, one of which being the Ifrit family. At the time, the Ifrit family wanted to evade control from the imperial palace. The only solution seemed to be acquiring support from a strong, non-accessible force. This came by marrying into the Noire family. As if by putting their issues behind, both families felt secured when Ahmad was born with no symptoms of diseases. But now that he's growing, his health is declining rapidly. Listening to all of this, Celine could only raise one concern. Wasn't the current empress also a member of the Noire family? Colton's eyes hold in apprehension for her concern. This is exactly why Selena must keep quiet. Now things are definitely getting serious. If the imperial family were to find out about the disease plaguing the Noire family, and that it could be transmitted despite being married to other clans, the Noire family would be killed off for their deception. When the time comes that Ahmad dies, his death will be treated as a natural death, turning a blind eye to reporting yet again another case of the Noire family's disease. Sensing the overload of information, Colton reassures Selena that although the disease is there, it was unlikely that Ahmad only became sick after growing up. Is he implying that there's a possibility that what plagues Ahmad isn't the Noire disease, but something actually curable? As Selena adjourns her meeting with Colton, Rona informs her that it is way past time for her walk with the Duke. Hearing this, Selena bolts out of her room amidst the thundering rain. How could she forget her promise to walk with Ahmad that afternoon? Soaked, she finds Ahmad waiting for her, drenched and soaked under the rain just like her. As she called out for him, he could only look at her with the saddest expression. Oh no, he looks so pitiful in the rain. Face to face with each other, the first thing that Ahmad croaks out is that if Selena had forgotten him. Hearing him ask this, she feels as if a stake had been pierced through her heart. Despite the pouring rain, Ahmad tries to reassure her that he's fine. To this, Selena retorts that he, in fact, is not fine at all. What was he even thinking waiting in the soaking rain? This could worsen his health. Not paying any attention to Selena's behest, Ahmad leads her away from the open. However, Selena is far too worried about his health to be able to notice that both of them are alone, in the rain, under a beautiful arch. Quite the romantic scene for me. Trying her best to protect his health, Selena catches him off guard when she jumps up to him and pulls herself to him in an attempt of warming him up through a hug. Soon enough, she begins to feel conscious about it. Almost as if sensing her unease and potential pulling away, Ahmad grabs her and pulls her closer to him, this time hugging her in return. As he continues to melt into her embrace, the two begin a heat forming up from their interaction. Under the privacy of the arch in the rain, Ahmad and Selena passionately melt into each other's lips. For a moment, it seems almost as if only they existed. No rain, no cold, nothing, just them. When the rain lets up, the two decide to go back to the mansion together. However, Selena couldn't help but feel a little regretful that they had to. Ugh, I feel you, girl. I mean, who wouldn't want that moment to last forever, right? As they are about to leave, Selena struggles with her broken shoe. When she is about to put it on, she is surprised as Ahmad sweeps her off her own feet, carrying her bridal style. OMG, these two will be the death of me. Selena could feel her cheeks heat up with how he's carrying her. As if being proud of himself for being such a flirt, Ahmad smirks the entire time. Heading back to the mansion, Selena could only hold Ahmad tightly as he carried her all the way. I live for romantic and wholesome interactions between them. Upon arriving at the mansion, the two make their way to Ahmad's quarters. As they wait for the maid to prepare the warm bath, Ahmad begins to unravel Selena's clothes. He reasons that she has to take them off as she was drenched in the rain. Even though this isn't their first time being in close proximity, she still can't help but feel flustered. Heat rises up to her cheeks as he continues to untangle the laces on the dress. As a last-ditch attempt to avoid being undressed so soon, she claims that it's unfair since he himself wasn't even out of his soaked clothes. Selena, do you even realize the implications of what you said? Ahmad is never one to back down, so with one quick movement, he takes off his shirt. Once more, Selena's cheeks turn bright red at the realization that he was now topless. Shortly, he grabs blankets for them to cover and warm themselves up. However, she notices Ahmad giving up his own blanket to keep her warm. In protest, she tells him to use the blanket to warm himself as well. Daring as ever, Ahmad quickly pulled Selena into his arms, saying that no blanket could ever rival Selena's warmth. Eek! He's so cheesy! The maid comes in to announce that the warm bath is now ready. Hearing this, he carries her over to the bath and gently puts her down onto the water. As soon as he does so, he turns to excuse himself, much to Selena's dismay. She'd hate it if he were to get sick, so she invited him to join her in the bathtub. As he dipped himself in the water, the two of them couldn't help but feel flustered and shy to be bathing together. Selena breaks the awkward silence by suggesting that Ahmad take his clothes off. She means it not in an obscene manner, but merely because she feels wearing pants in a tub would be too uncomfortable for him. Yeah, of course we believe you, Selene. Realizing that he kept it on to avoid making her feel uncomfortable, Selene resorts to the only option left. With a surge of energy, she gets up and suggests for both of them to undress. She probably has too much excitement as she ends up slipping in the tub and landing on Ahmad. Well, that escalated quickly. Ahmad is in disbelief with how Selene could have survived this long by being so clumsy. Selene waves his remark off with an apology for being clumsy and for suggesting they take their clothes off when she herself couldn't dress quickly. Trying to revoke her offer, she says that she'll keep a distance from him. As soon as he hears her last statement, he pulls him to her lap, holding her close in the tub. While they sit in proximity to each other, Ahmad tells her to stay still as he was trying to keep it calm. Realizing the underlying meaning, Selene's cheeks flush a deep red. Curious, she asks why he has to stand it. Girl, you are trying to get a rise out of him? Once more, she talks without thinking clearly and tries to revoke what she said as she flushes redder and redder. However, it was too late to go back on her word now because Ahmad had completely gone for her bait. The following morning, the two wake up next to each other after an intense and intimate night. Seeing Selene wake up, Ahmad asks if she was going to run away again, just like their first night together. Feeling brave this time, she tells him straight up that she won't. Later on, the two enjoy breakfast in bed together. As they eat, Selene wants to talk more about his first incident of collapse. He explains that it was no different from any other day. The only thing special about it, to his recollection, was that he took pain relievers for his headache. See, there's really something about the medicine, potion, and tonics that they're given to Ahmad. Hearing this, Selene shares her worries of his medicine being rigged to keep him weak. She admits that she feels awful for speculating, but what else could she do when she worries for his health too much? Pouring her heart out, she holds Ahmad's hand. She begs that even if he gave up on himself, please let him not give up on her. That's kind of bittersweet. It makes me want to cry. Selene makes her way back to her own quarters where she is greeted by Rona. Her maid wastes no time in teasing her about being with the Duke last night. Shortly after Selene's return, Greta arrives to give her a potion to aid her fertility and conception. As expected, they never fail to give her these potions after she and Ahmad spend a night with each other. Even though Selene finishes her potion, Greta makes no move to leave. She reminds Selene about the official consummation and that she best prepare herself for it. Geez, stop pressuring her, will you? When Greta is dismissed, Selene immediately succumbs to her fever. Although she is sick, still, her worries are directed to her husband, who could be just as feverish as her right now. She collapses from her fever as soon as she tries to rush towards Ahmad. Slowly, she begins to wake after a while of being passed out. As if the tables turned, it is now Ahmad who is taking care of Selene. Gently, he holds her hand and reassures her, promising to stay by her side as she recovers. Aw, that's so sweet of him. Later on, when Selene recovers, she immediately goes back to her investigations of inspecting the food and drinks Ahmad has been given, especially the tea. She tasks Rona to secretly acquire the same tea that Greta has been preparing for Ahmad. Never failing her duties, Rona comes back with what her lady has asked her to procure. However, upon further investigation, Selene finds nothing suspicious about its ingredients. The only thing unique about it is an ingredient called Thor, and it's not necessarily a poison, but rather just a rare spice. Suddenly, her investigations are halted when a maid barges into her room delivering urgent news. The Duke, Ahmad Ifrit, has collapsed. But he was just fine a while ago. What could have happened in such a short span of time? Selene rushes to her husband's side to take care of him after his collapse. Raymond, the family's physician, tells her that the reason for his collapse is merely because of him being soaked in the rain. Thanking him, Selene dismisses him with no further questions. However, as soon as Raymond leaves, she tells Rona to ready the carriage. Something is definitely up. It had been a day since their rain incident, but why was it that Ahmad was feeling this way only now? Only after Selene had left him to return to her quarters? Both she and Rona travel to Walter's drugstore and have the tea examined by Walter himself. This tea is the only thing that Ahmad consumed since Selene left his quarters, so there must be something suspicious about it. Walter inspects the tea and remarks that they are nothing but tea leaves. However, he finds it worrisome that Thor had been mixed into it. Although Thor is a rare ingredient and not necessarily harmful in itself, the same cannot be said when it mixes with tea. Turns out when tea and Thor are mixed, it heats up the body to a highly risky temperature and causes great pain to the consumer. But it was Greta and Raymond who prepared it for Ahmad. Are they conspiring against him? Hearing this, Selene is wide-eyed in shock. These are all the symptoms that Ahmad is experiencing. It had been the tea all along that made him sick. Rushing back to the mansion, she hastily makes her way to Camila's room to inform her about the situation. However, she finds herself being beaten by Raymond. Praising her timing, Camila tells Selene that she's just in time as Raymond is about to announce some important findings. Although Selene wants to quickly call out Raymond and Greta for the tea they've been giving Ahmad, she has no choice but to listen to Raymond first. No, this doesn't seem like it would end well. According to Raymond, he claims to have found the cause of Ahmad's collapse as he holds out a bottle of liquor for everyone to behold. Finally, he tells everyone that the bottle had not been alcohol all along, but eye drops. The maids gathered around as they all testified that it had been Selene who had brought the bottle the previous time she was with Ahmad. Furious, Camila orders for Selene to be locked up. She can't fathom her own son being poisoned by the very woman she despises the most. With Selene being framed, Raymond couldn't help but smirk by the success of his scheming. Fighting back, Selene insists that she head to her own room herself without being bound. Only then may they lock her up. Teary-eyed but still determined, she vowed to prove her innocence and find out the cause of Ahmad's sickness. Oh, our poor girl! The audacity of Raymond to set this all up and frame Selene! Selene finds herself imprisoned after being accused of allegedly poisoning her husband. Instead of worrying about herself first, her thoughts wander to how her husband is doing. Suddenly, the door opens and Raymond enters. Selene already knows that the doctor has something to do with Ahmad's sickness. He tells her about the elder Duchess's decision to punish her. She already knows that the Duchess wants to inflict the worst pain on her as her punishment for harming her son. Instead of death, Raymond suggests something even worse: to isolate her in a place where she will have a hard time getting out. She would be admitted to Metis, the biggest mental hospital in the Empire, a place she couldn't get out alive. Selene stays calm and humors Raymond. She decided to approach the situation as calmly as possible. She asks him how she can avoid being admitted. He suggests she admit to the crime of poisoning her husband and he will help her escape. To Raymond's surprise, she refuses. She notices that he talks of Metis as if he himself is very familiar with the place. Selene asks Raymond if he knows someone who's admitted there, and now he's the one denying it. He gets out of her room in a flurry of anger. Alone, Selene thinks of ways she can get out. Coincidentally, a maid comes in bringing her food. She knows what to do. She faints on the bed, prompting the maid to panic and call for help. A couple of minutes later, Camila arrives, looking disappointed after Selene stops her fainting act. Selene asks the maid to leave them alone, which Camila permits. Alone with the older woman, she denies her involvement in the crime of which they accused her. She tells her mother-in-law about her findings and how dangerous it would be if the real culprit is still out and about. She pulls out a small satchel and shows the elder Duchess its contents. Selene has to survive, and to do so, she has to persuade Camila. It seems the elder Duchess knows the contents of the satchel that Selene is now showing her. Thor, a high-grade tea ingredient. The ingredient, when mixed with pain relievers, can cause intense burning pain to the drinker. Selene reveals that she has experienced the effect too, back when she was sick. This shocks Camila. She thinks back to the time when Ahmad fainted. She trembles. The tea was prepared by Greta, and the tea room is always open for any of the maids to access. A maid calls for Camila outside the room, surprising her and saying Raymond is looking for her. Selene can see the older woman's apprehension. She urges her to meet the doctor. Selene bids Camila to let her out, as she has suspicions that Ahmad might not be terminally ill, as no one really knows the cause of the illness. She pleads not to be sent to the mental hospital, which surprises Camila. She is not aware that Raymond has told her. Selene trusts that telling the elder Duchess this might separate her from the doctor, ensuring her innocence. Finally, she asks permission to take care of her husband once again so that she can catch the real culprit. After getting out of isolation, Selene relaxes in her quarters and asks Greta to fetch her tea. Furthermore, she also instructs her to bring 2 cups. The old maid unsuspectingly obeys. After Greta goes out to get tea, Lorna, Selene's trusty maid, gets in and emotionally clings onto her. Selene asks the young maid to do something for her. Go see Colton and find out if anyone related to Raymond is in Metis. From her talk with Raymond, his knowledge of the facility is suspicious, as if he has been there a lot. Selene decides to use Greta to break Camila and Raymond's bond. She pulls out a hidden box under the bed, wondering if she'll be able to do it, just as Greta gets back, tea in hand. Selene invites Greta to have tea with her, hence the extra cup she was ordered to bring. Greta is surprised. She politely declines the offer and explains that it is against the rules. The old maid's reaction is almost proof of guilt. You almost got her! She decides to lay out her suspicion that the tea might be poisoned. Selene opens the kettle. Her suspicion is confirmed. The tea has Thor. Annoyed by the maid's denial, she throws tea at her. Shocked by Selene's actions, she tries to rush out to go to Camila. But before she can go, Selene stops her. She tells the old woman that if she goes, she'll be suspected of feeding Ahmad strange things. Greta lashes back at her, as she is also accused of doing the same. Selene finally reveals her reasoning to the maid. She explains the tea and the ingredients that's in it. She knows that the old maid must have been made aware by Raymond. She shows the maid her evidence, a ledger containing the list of items purchased for the household with the corresponding dates of purchase and amount. The day the tea Greta made was served to Ahmad, he fainted, Selene continues. The maid is now collapsed on the floor, on her knees, in shock, recalling her deeds. Selene urges her to reveal Raymond's involvement. After some convincing, Greta finally admits the doctor's involvement. After Ahmad's episode, Raymond investigated the incident and found out that it was the tea. Greta swears that she had no knowledge of the effect of the tea that she served. After that, Raymond instructed her to make tea with Thor when asked as a price for his silence. Even more convinced, Selene tells Greta that she was fooled by Raymond from the beginning. He made her put a strange substance in the tea and acted like it was her fault. Greta also reveals that after the incident, the maids were replaced. Her suspicions are now confirmed after Greta's admission. She lets the maid go and tells her to report no incident to the Elder Duchess. As if somehow grateful, Greta obeys. Alone now, Selene wonders if anyone else was present on the day when Ahmad first got sick, other than the maids who were let go. She realizes right away that there was medicine involved, so the pharmacist should also be there. The pharmacist's implementation might have been altered by Raymond for Ahmad's use. If she finds the pharmacist, then she can prove Raymond's guilt further. Selene rushes out of her room, and in a wave of emotions, she suddenly misses Ahmad. She decides to do whatever she can for now. Upon arriving at her chosen destination, she finds Raymond in the room. He looks back at her, looking like a deer in headlights. Suspicious indeed. Selene orders Raymond to leave as soon as she gets into the room. Putting back his things into his bag, he reiterates to her how he has assisted her by requesting her freedom from Camila. And he also reminds her about their deal before leaving. Left alone, she sits beside the sleeping Ahmad. She swears to prove her innocence first and clarify the culprit so that she can be with him after. Lorna arrives and informs her about her request. She went to the butler and did not get any useful information about Raymond's relations in Metis. Selene knows that the old butler Colton is foxy, and she knows that he must know something. Colton keeping his mouth shut must also mean that it involves his former master, the former Duke. The young maid notices a handkerchief on the ground. Selene immediately knows that it belongs to Raymond, as she has seen him use it before. She notices an initial on it, and she takes it so she can return it herself. Handkerchief in hand, she decides to go to Colton and seek out the information herself. Before leaving the room, she instructs Lorna not to let Raymond give Ahmad any medicine. She suspects that he might make his condition worse. Selene heads to the library. Upon arriving, she sees Colton arranging books. A painting of the old Duke catches her attention. She can see that Ahmad inherited a lot of his father's traits. Colton asks her what she needs, and she goes directly to the point by asking him about Raymond and if he knows anyone currently in the mental institution. At first, Colton is apprehensive about giving her any answers. He ultimately spills out after some heartfelt convincing by Selene. Selene tells him that she suspects Raymond might be motivated by revenge to hurt Ahmad. Concerned for his young master, he tells Selene Raymond's story. Raymond was an adopted son, a distant relative of the Ifrits, and his purpose was to continue the family business. His adopted family had a sick daughter and an older sister. Selene realizes that the handkerchief has an initial A on it. She now knows who the owner is. Colton's last revelation shocks Selene. It turns out that Anne was also the former Duke Ryanel's ex-lover before marrying. Walking through the halls of the mansion, Selene is still reeling from the conversation she just had with Colton. Anne had gone crazy after the former Duke's marriage to Camila was announced. She was admitted to Matus, the mental hospital, pregnant with Ryanel's baby, but the baby died. She stayed there until her death 5 years ago. Selene wonders if this was the reason for Raymond's revenge. She wants to prove his guilt even more now that she knows his motivation. She stops walking and sees a man trying to get into Ahmad's room. Lorna is there to stop the man. Selene knows him, an errand boy. He greets her as she gets close. He tells her that he was tasked by Raymond to bring medicine in his stead. The last time he came through was not to Raymond's knowledge. He delivered emergency medicine only to be taken when there are signs of a stroke, ordered by his master, Walter, the pharmacist. She realizes that Walter might have unknowingly assisted Raymond. She now has her proof. She orders Lorna to summon Walter and gives the man Raymond's handkerchief to return. Camila is the last to arrive at the gathering. Selene has summoned Raymond, Greta, Walter, and a couple of maids to witness the commotion. She proceeds to explain to the older woman the nature of their gathering. She presents to her the witness, Greta and Walter. Furthermore, she reveals the old maid's involvement in making the tea that triggered Ahmad's illness. The tea was laced with conflicting ingredients, Thor and pain relievers. It was an accident in the beginning, but she then became an accessory to Raymond's bigger operation to hide her embezzlement. Camila confronts Raymond about the accusation, and he coldly admits his crime to take revenge on his sister's death. He also reveals that he was the one to kill the child within her to avoid any heirs being produced. Horrified by the admission, Camila orders Colton to lock up the doctor and the old maid. Selene tries to approach the elder duchess, but she is unexpectedly denied, leaving her alone in the room. The old woman must have been exhausted by the sudden revelations. Selene is sitting beside her husband's bed. She refused the maid's offer to rest to be with him. Feeling cold, she decides to close the window. A noise in the room catches her attention. Her gaze immediately went to the suspicious man standing beside her husband's bed, sword in hand. She rushes beside Ahmad. She uses her body to guard him from the attack. The assailant attempts to attack her but is stopped right before she gets harmed. Shocked by the sudden silence, she looks back and sees the attacker dead on the floor with Ahmad standing over him. Selene rushes to him in disbelief. They kiss for a brief moment, a proof that she is indeed awake and so is he. And unharmed. She takes a closer look at the assailant and she realizes that she has seen the man before. He was a servant. A spy. Selene tells Ahmad about Raymond. Ahmad is surprised, but he focuses on the present for now to find the person who sent the spy. Ahmad approaches his mother, who's very glad that he's awake. He announces the presence of a dead attacker in his room and orders a gathering. Raymond and Greta are in binds, and Walter is now in the room. Ahmad reveals a pill in a locket that he keeps. Walter was not the one to make it, but he passed down the knowledge to someone else. Even though he knew about the dangers, he still kept the critical information after Selene took the medicine herself. He confronts Raymond, but the man just ignores him. Camila does the same, but is met with a cold response from Raymond. The man just wants to be punished. So she does, and she orders him to be hanged, to the shock of everyone in the room. Greta pleads with Camila not to send her to death. Her pleading is interrupted by Ahmad's order to send them to Noire's territory instead, a land of snow and ice for all seasons. He orders them to be held in a mine for prisoners so that Raymond can treat them and have Greta assist. Basically, they're going to be exiled. Ahmad continues by taking responsibility after being sick for so long and neglecting his duties. He bids his mother, the old duchess, to rest while appointing Selene to take care of the family business as the official duchess. This surprises Camila. She knows now that he is healthy, the contract is done, and it's all over. Now that he is safe, and the perpetrators of his sickness have been held responsible. He hears her sighing, and she hugs him. Selene is glad that he is now safe. She hangs on to him for a while, thinking that she can finally leave. She clings to him longer, waiting for the tears to stop. News of his recovery has spread to the masses in just a day. The knights are clamoring for his return. They were not convinced, so they want him to prove his ability to reclaim his seat. Ahmad gets ready to go, wearing his knight's uniform. It's her first time seeing him in regalia, making him look like someone else. Selene expresses her concern about Camilla's isolation, and Ahmad assures her that she's only protesting for a time. He steers the conversation back to them, asking her if she wants anything on his way back. Blushing, she admits that she just wants his heart. He embraces her one last time before bidding her goodbye. After some time, the afternoon comes. A butler approaches her and announces Ahmad's victory. Ahmad has just reclaimed his position as the Sun Knights captain once again. He flawlessly won the challenge set out to him by the Knights. The Knights have now taken him back, an honor that is more important than receiving the Emperor's permission. The servants cheer for him as he walks by, but he ignores them, eager to get back to Selene. That night, Selene and Ahmad take a walk in the garden. He tells her about his newly received assignment from the king to go to war. She knows about the war with the Lilos Empire from the original story, Lady Crown. According to the book, it was the Crown Prince who went to lead the battle instead of Ahmad. Now that he's able to go to war, she worries about him. Shuffling, Ahmad presents her with a gift. He gives her a blue box. His sincerity. She opens the box warily. A big pink heart-shaped gem pendant meets her. The necklace within has the big pendant surrounded by gold and held together in a beautiful pink silk. Selene thanks her husband sincerely. A couple of days later, tea in hand, Selene knocks on his door. She knows Ahmad has been working hard recently and might have lost some sleep. She lets herself into the room, finding Ahmad passed out on his chair. Selene attempts to put a blanket on him, but is stopped by her husband, who is now awake. He accuses her of sneaking, but she clarifies that she's only there to talk to him about something, about the contract she signed with Camila. Before she can even start explaining to him, he kisses her. He suddenly suggests that they share a room from now on, as that is how married couples do. They share a bedroom. She tries to decline him, but he continues. He wants him to fulfill the duties of husband and wife. Selene asks him if he means producing a baby. He confirms this and takes her in for another kiss. Afterwards, Lorna checks on Selene, who is still in bed. She's clearly not feeling well. She calls Lorna over. She tries to get out of bed, and the young maid notices blood from where Selene just laid. The amount of blood alarms her. Something is wrong. A doctor has been summoned. After checking Selene, he asks her if she has taken any contraceptives. She denies knowingly consuming any contraceptive pill, as there's no reason for her to take it. The doctor explains that the condition she has, abnormally low blood pressure, can be caused by excessive use of special contraceptive pills. Furthermore, he has treated women who have experienced sudden low blood pressure. All were taking birth control pills. The contraceptives on the market recently aren't very effective in preventing pregnancies. The more effective ones are popular in high society as they have fewer side effects. It's very expensive, and only wealthy women are able to use it. Also, the birth control has to be timed correctly. If done incorrectly, it will cause significant side effects like low blood pressure. Selene recalls that it was Greta who gave her the medicines that she took. She suspects that Raymond might have something to do with it. She asks the doctor if he's able to identify the birth control that she might have taken without her knowledge. Selene explains further that the medicine she took was the type to aid fertility. The doctor admits that he can only check the medicine if he sees it himself. He also tells her that the high-quality contraceptives are made mostly of snake venom. Birth control is basically a poison. She remembers the time when snakes were found in the garden and when Emma was dragged out by Greta. Selene sincerely asks the doctor how she is now. The doctor dejectedly delivers the sad news to her. She might not be able to conceive in the future. This shocks her, rendering her speechless. Lorna looks horrified by the news as well. Ahmad's face flashes. He told her that he wanted a baby with her. The only thing she can do now for him is impossible. She tells the doctor not to inform her husband, as she will deliver the news herself. Camila suddenly interrupts them and confronts her about her newfound infertility. Selene orders Lorna and the doctor to leave them. Now alone, Selene explains the situation. She unknowingly took contraceptive pills given by Greta. However, Camila accuses her of doing it intentionally. Selene disagrees strongly with the old woman's accusation, as it would be a contradiction to their contract. Camila wants to see evidence, but their only witness has already been exiled to the desolate north. The elder duchess suggests that since Ahmad is now healthy, he can easily have children with other women. Since the contract has somehow been fulfilled, there's no use for her to stay in the mansion anymore. Selene agrees. Her dream of officially becoming his wife and bearing their child is now hopeless. Camila tells her not to let Ahmad know, because if he knew, he would kick her out anyway. Selene orders Lorna to keep the fact that she can no longer have a child a secret. She knows how disappointed her husband would be if he knew. Later, Selene sits alone while drinking wine. Ahmad finds her and, with a worried expression, asks her about the doctor's visit earlier. He caresses her face, expressing his concern for her. She tells him it's nothing, but Ahmad asks her if it's because he's been too passionate lately, and promises to restrain himself from then on. Yes, Ahmad, lower your enthusiasm down a notch. Selene then tries to probe him, asking if he's envious of the other knights who now have children. When her husband responds that having children is great news, she becomes even more depressed. Not wanting his wife to be forlorn any longer, Ahmad carries her to the bed. He asks her if she wants to go to the south during the war, since it's warm and beautiful there. However, she refuses because she wants to be the first person to greet him when he returns. Ahmad then kisses her forehead and lulls her to sleep. The night before Ahmad is supposed to go to war, he finds his wife looking at the stars. When he confesses that he wants to see her before he goes, Selene kisses him. Ahmad is surprised, especially when she tells him that they may not see each other for many years. She wants him to have a night they'd remember. With a passionate look, Ahmad tells her that he wants her to be his moon forever. When it's time for him to leave, he swears to come back to her before giving her a warm embrace. As soon as Ahmad is gone, Camila quickly throws Selene out of the house. She even resorts to giving her threatening words just to make her leave. Gosh, this woman is taking the evil mother-in-law role too seriously. She gives Selene the money for the contract and asks her to sign the divorce papers. Selene tells her that she doesn't have to use awful words to make her go away. She'll obey the agreement voluntarily. She quickly leaves, even if she still thinks about Ahmad. Before she can exit the manor, the lawyer catches up to her. He tells her that Ahmad has several properties and money named under her as compensation for their divorce. Selene realizes that the Duke may have planned to divorce her all along, since he prepared this in advance. With an aching heart, she signed the papers as proof that she had received them. And with that, everything is over now. She has officially left the estate. She then finds herself visiting the dessert shop she once went to with Ahmad. She can't help but reminisce about their happy times together. As she listens to other patrons talk about how her husband is leading the army, all she can think of is wishing that Ahmad would come back safely. Meanwhile, on the battlefield, Ahmad is getting wary of the war. The land they are fighting for, Paviti, is a coveted territory due to its abundant resources. Even as he keeps his mind focused on winning the war, he can't help but be jealous of the other soldiers who are receiving letters from their wives. Selene has promised to wait for him, but she never once sent him a letter. He tries not to show it, but he is anxiously waiting for a single letter from his beloved wife. If only he knew what happened to his wife! Suddenly, an urgent message arrives. The Crown Prince's aide has apparently gone behind enemy lines, clearly ignoring his orders as commander. Ahmad coldly orders that he be punished for this, but Prince Royce suddenly appears. He states that Ahmad can't harm his knight. He swears that once he becomes emperor, he'll make sure that Ahmad's men will lose their heads. Ahmad simply ignores his threats, asking if he also wants to be punished. After all, he is just the lieutenant, which means that in the army, Ahmad outranks him. The prince is angered by this, so he chooses to retaliate by insulting the commander's wife, mentioning that he merely picked her up off the streets. This is not his smartest move, for Ahmad does not hesitate to punch him in the face. The other knights have to break them apart. Prince Royce shouts that Ahmad is committing treason for harming him. Ahmad simply challenges him to a formal duel. Before the frightened prince can respond, Marquess Lotringer and Lady Veronica arrive. The prince instantly perks up when he sees his fiancée. When Lady Veronica wordly asks about his bruised face, the prince shamelessly lies that he simply tripped. Lady Veronica then announces that she came to end the war. She wants to negotiate with the queen of the rival kingdom. All she needs is the prince's permission so he can receive the credit for what she's about to do. The prince clearly wants to give his enthusiastic support, but Ahmad quickly interrupts them. He doesn't want the lady to get involved. Veronica insists that they were sent there by the emperor himself. Ahmad doesn't believe her since she doesn't have the imperial edict. He then instructs his knights to escort Veronica and her father out. Veronica pleads for the prince's help, but when Ahmad asks what the relationship is between him and Veronica, the prince simply says that there's nothing between them. This prince is kinda confusing, or is he simply a coward? When asked why he doesn't want to negotiate, Ahmad answers that he wants to end this war to prevent other wars from happening. That way he doesn't have to leave his home and his wife again. He misses her so much, and he swears to give her the perfect gift upon his return. He'll take her to the victory ball. Not only will he be celebrated as a war hero, but she'll also be presented to everyone as his wife. He wants to be able to give all the light he has back to her as a present so she can shine. After some time, with determination in his heart, Ahmad comes out victorious after successfully capturing the head of the rival army. Finally, the war has ended. The Skachitan Empire has won, and the defeated countries have to pay an enormous amount of compensation. By the time the conflict is resolved, the season has already changed drastically. The kingdom welcomes the Imperial Army with a celebration. However, the victory banquet everyone had been waiting for was not held because the war hero did not show up. Where could he possibly be? Of course, Duke Ifrit does not waste any time when it comes to his wife, so he heads home as soon as possible. But when he arrives, he is dismayed that his wife is not the first one to greet him as she promised. He asks for her immediately. Even as his mother greets him with warmth, he does not acknowledge her. He simply asks for the whereabouts of his wife. Camila tells him that Selena has left voluntarily. She reveals their agreement from the start, showing him the contracts and the divorce papers as evidence that Selena did not really care for him and was in it for the money all along. This woman is really getting on my nerves! Ahmad is heartbroken, but he refuses to sign the divorce papers. He remembers all the time that Selena was uncomfortable with him and how she insisted that he stay alive. He is hurt that his wife may have nursed him back to health, all so she can divorce him. He wonders if this has been eating at her conscience all along. However, he tells his mother that she doesn't have to explain anymore, for he will hear the rest from his wife. You go, Ahmad! Find your runaway bride! Ahmad berates himself for being such a fool. He had no idea that his wife was bound by a contract. He confronts Colton for not telling him that Selena has left. His loyal butler then assures him that even if he had no authority to stop her from going, he still made sure that someone followed the lady. Unfortunately, the knights assigned to her have lost track of her in the city of Padden. He even had someone go to the lady's home to ask her siblings about her whereabouts, but to no avail. The Duke is angered by this. He is determined to punish him once he has found Selena. Ahmad is beside himself. He even questions Lorna if Selena has left some kind of clue or even a message for him. But his wife has left no trace. But there is something Selena hasn't considered. She has clearly underestimated her husband. After days of searching, he finally finds a clue, a lone earring. Apparently, an old woman has found it in the streets in the city of Dayton. Ahmad will now retrieve his lost moon. As for Selena, she's now living a simple life working at a local pharmacy. She likes this place and she can freely study herbs and medicine. She even made a friend, her co-worker Aina, who unfortunately has a lot of debt. Her friend then notices that she's missing an earring. Selena, however, is confident that she'll be able to find the lost earring soon. After all, it was once lost too, but found its way to her anyway. Selena then has to listen to her friend about all the capital rumors about Ahmad. She even tries to defend him when it's mentioned that the Duke abandoned his wife after recovering from his sickness. What surprises her, however, is when she learns that the victory party has been postponed. It's not like Ahmad can't have any ladies he wants to take to the banquet. She tries not to think about it. While they're working, someone enters the shop. It turns out to be a patron who is always bugging Selena, wanting to speak with her. But she ignores him, excusing herself before he can even strike up a conversation with her. Well, sorry, sir, she's a married woman already. Unfortunately, some men just can't take no for an answer. While Selena is doing laundry outside, the man appears to insist that he wants to help. When Selena ignores him, the man forcibly grabs her hand. Selena tries to fight back, but suddenly, somebody breaks the man's hand and throws him to the ground. It is none other than Ahmad, harshly telling him not to touch his wife. Ha! You're lucky Ahmad has gone easy on you. The man quickly left, terrified of the angry Duke. Selena, on the other hand, feels like she's hallucinating. Is this really Ahmad in front of her? She feels fear creeping up when her ex-husband caresses her face. Suddenly, Aina finds her and is instantly starstruck by the presence of the handsome man. She asks Selena who he is, but before she can answer, the Duke is quick to answer that he is her husband before pulling her into his arms. He does not give her any time to deny it. Aina quickly leaves them alone to talk. Ahmad then tells Selena that they're going home. She is left confused, even as the two of them have sat down to have tea. She questions his presence there, so the Duke tells her not to pretend not to know. Selene then confesses that she likes where she lives now. To her, the mansion was like a prison. She felt like she would be executed any day. Even though Camila has explained everything, she still confesses everything to him, from the money to the fact that she has to bear his heir. Not that he's recovered, the contract is terminated. But then, Ahmad asks if the contract is the reason why she professed her love for him. She explains that she needed to give him a reason for her actions. The Duke then shows her her missing earring. He tells her how worried he was when it was found, thinking that she had been harmed in some way. However, Selene refuses to be swayed by this. She exclaims that everything is over now. Ahmad simply smirks and grabs her hand, asking who says it's over. Ahmad smugly declares that they aren't divorced yet. He didn't sign the papers after all. He tells Selene that they're still bound by a sacred contract. The Duke demands that she pay for leaving him by staying in his arms. He reminds her that she still has to give him an heir. Ugh, Ahmad, that is not how you convince a girl to stay! Selene is confused as to why Camila failed to tell her son that she's now infertile. She's about to tell him the truth, but Ahmad confesses that he can't imagine a future without her. He then slides her old wedding ring back on her finger, telling her that he'll go to the depths of hell for her. Selene panics and pushes him away. She exclaims that she doesn't want to go back and that she only did it for the money. She wants to convince him to leave her, so she plans to give him the money back. She couldn't bring herself to spend even a single penny from the compensation money, so she just hid it in her room. Unfortunately, when she goes to get the money, she realizes that she's been robbed. She finds a letter from her friend who took the money because she has to pay her debt. Oh no, what kind of friend steals from their friend? Ahmad, on the other hand, smugly asks her what she's gonna do now. How is she gonna pay the money back now? Selene once again feels like a pawn on a chessboard. She confronts the Duke, pointing out that he doesn't really want the money. What he really wants is to use the old contract to make her have his heir. Ahmad is devastated to hear this from her. She seems to think that he wants her to come back due to his sense of responsibility. She promises that he'll atone for what she's done by going back to the mansion. One way or another, Ahmad is gonna get what he wants, so even though Selene is misunderstanding his intentions, he demands that she still perform her marital duty to him. However, Selene tells him that she doesn't want to have any children, and if she somehow does, she wants to do it with someone she loves. Therefore, even though she'll act like the perfect wife for him, she wants it to have a limitation. Angered that Selene is suggesting that she'll marry someone else, Ahmad declares that he'll only let her go once he's sick of her. What is happening to this relationship? Soon enough, Selene finds herself in a carriage with Ahmad. The Duke asks her to hold his hand when they arrive. The two are greeted by their servants, and Ahmad kisses her hand before they enter. She's expecting that she'll be staying in her old room, but the Duke grabs her waist before reminding her that they're a couple. They used to share a bed before the war anyway, so he thinks it is appropriate that they continue. OMG, Selene, you really need to be strong, girl! Later, Selene finds herself in their old room. She notes how everything looks the same as when she left. Suddenly, a teary-eyed Lorna enters the room. She's ecstatic that her mistress has returned. After greeting one another, Selene discreetly reminds her maid to keep her infertility a secret from Ahmad. Lorna swears to absolute secrecy. Satisfied, Selene asks after the head butler. Lorna sadly informs her that Colton is leaving the mansion. This shocks Selene to no end. She quickly goes to find the old butler. She convinces him not to leave. After all, she still needs him to manage the household. She knows that Ahmad is punishing him for not telling him that his wife has left the mansion. But he only did as she asked of him. He's not to blame at all. Fortunately, Colton agrees to stay and help the Duchess out. Later, Ahmad questions her why she didn't let the butler go. Selene explains that she still finds domestic affairs difficult and she needs the head butler's guidance. The Duke respects her choices, so he lets it go. He then informs her that the victory celebration can no longer be delayed. With a loving gaze, Ahmad tells her to look forward to it. As he cups her face with his hand, he declares that it would be her debutante ball. From that day on, Selene orders a dress and has etiquette lessons for the ball. She even practices dancing with Ahmad. They look adorable, by the way. However, something is bothering her. After all, Veronica and Prince Royce should have been married by now. But because Ahmad has gained more reputation and the ball has been postponed, the wedding has also been moved. All because she nursed her husband back to health. It seems that her actions are affecting the story. Soon enough, it is time for the victory banquet. Selena steps out of the carriage wearing a magnificent gown. Suddenly, she feels nauseous, but she claims that it's just nerves. Ahmad arrives at that moment and is instantly worried about his wife. When she looks up at him, Selena is mesmerized by how dashing Ahmad looks. "Well, you're not the only one, girl." When he notices her staring, he suddenly feels shy and avoids her gaze. With a bright smile, Selena tells him how amazing he looks. When he cups her face, Selena is instantly flushed, but then he tells her she looks cold in her outfit. "Not very smooth, Ahmad." She sulks. After all, she thought he was going to say she looked beautiful. But he quickly grabs her waist, asking her not to go anywhere since he still needs to introduce her as his wife. The two of them enter the hall, and all eyes are on them. The war hero and his wife have arrived. Selena feels nervous, but Ahmad assures her that he's there to protect her. She relaxes, and the two of them dance gracefully together. She can't help but wish that this moment lasts forever. But reality has to come in. Ahmad is called away to speak with the Emperor, so Selena is left alone to deal with the approaching nobles. One particular snobbish lady, Miss Karis, even announces that Selena used to be their maid. The lady clearly wants to embarrass the new Duchess. At that moment, Veronica decides to play the hero. She berates Miss Karis for humiliating a Duchess who, despite her previous circumstances, is now a noble. Selena, however, is not ashamed of her background. She declares that she doesn't really mind that her previous job is mentioned. After all, she is never embarrassed by the fact that she worked as a maid and took care of sick people. She is not even embarrassed that she took care of Miss Karis's ailing mother. The other nobles apologize to her, but she's willing to forget their judgments. Right then, Ahmad arrives with a menacing expression. He clearly heard how the ladies try to shame his wife. When the two of them step out, Selena worries that her background is affecting the Duke's position. With a smile, the Duke takes her hand, stating that out of everyone he knows, she is the one who worked the hardest. He then kisses her, and Selena can't help but feel her walls crumble due to Ahmad's warm remarks. Soon enough, the two meet with the Emperor, and Selena is shocked when Ahmad asks a favor from His Majesty. He wants him to attend their wedding, and the Emperor agrees. Ahmad wants their wedding to be unforgettable this time. After the banquet, Selena is busy preparing for the wedding. Her husband is so enthusiastic that he even commissioned a commemorative gift for everyone. She is shocked to learn that coins with their faces engraved on them were made as a gift for everyone during the event. Talk about over the top! Even so, Selena still can't help but feel happy. Her happiness is cut short, though, when a visitor arrives. No doubt Lady Veronica has come to disturb the peace. Veronica congratulates her on her upcoming wedding. The lady then mentions that she and Duke Ifrit have been friends since birth. Selena finds this strange since she knows that Veronica is adopted and the two should have met when they were around 15. Could it be possible that the other nobles do not know that Veronica is adopted? Veronica then says that she actually came to visit the Grand Duchess and just dropped by to congratulate her. When she mentions seeing Selena at the wedding, the Duchess provokes her by saying that it's not certain that she'll be invited. Ouch! Veronica is visibly offended and leaves with a haughty look. Selena then orders Colton to investigate Veronica's background. Soon enough, it's time for the wedding. The Duchess looks absolutely gorgeous. Ahmad appears behind her just as she's finished getting ready. The two are surely a pair made in heaven. They look so good together. They arrive at the venue, and as the two are walking to the entrance, Ahmad expresses that he was fearful that she might not show up. Selena assures him that things are different now. She then tells him how amazing he looks at that moment. Blushing, the Duke turns away and leads his bride inside. As they enter, everyone applauds. They are married once again in a beautiful ceremony. This time, they became a married couple for real. When her husband kissed her, she couldn't help but feel her heart tingle. Aww, the Duke and Duchess share so much love for one another. Hopefully, this happiness lasts longer. Later that night, Selena still feels awkward when she sees her husband out of his bath. Even though she tries to avoid him, the Duke still tries to talk to her. He wants to know why she left him before. With sadness in her eyes, Selena answers that it's all because the contract was terminated. However, Ahmad is certain that there is another reason. The Duke lifts her chin to make her look at him. As they gaze at one another, Selena tells herself not to fall for him. She has to let him go at the end after all. Seeing her sad expression, Ahmad hugs her and assures her that it doesn't matter. She is his wife, and they will be together until death do them part. He will not let her go, no matter what. As they kiss passionately, Selene can't help but feel a sense of longing every time she looks at her husband. Meanwhile, at the palace, Veronica is fueling Royce's anger toward Ahmad. She reminds him that it's an insult that the Duke did not invite the crown prince to his wedding. She even mentions that the prince has wasted her effort of starting the war so he can show his competence. Turns out, she was the one who instigated the war by tempting the rival queen with the riches of Pavili. This lady is clearly more sinister than she looks. The crown prince, like the spoiled brat that he is, blames Ahmad for taking his glory. He knows he can't surpass the Duke and his knights. He even sent an assassin to get rid of him, but to no avail. Veronica then reminds the prince that once he shows that he has outstanding skills, his father will surely make him emperor. After all, he is the one she chose over the Duke. She even blames the current empress for creating a wedge between him and the emperor. When Veronica leaves, Royce forms a ridiculous plan of his own. What better way to put the Duke in his place than seducing his wife? Oh no, wrong move, Royce. Just what is going on with your brain? Unaware of the brewing trouble, the Duke and Duchess are in bed as Selene is convincing Ahmad to sleep like a good boy. But the naughty Duke refuses to obey, for he has other plans in mind. Young love. Lady Veronica is tired of hearing Selene's name and how amazing she is from the other nobles. The Duchess is all they talk about, and it infuriates her. Seems like the lady has a green-eyed monster. She knows that she has to do something. Everything became more difficult when Ahmad recovered. Right now, Royce is the obvious heir to the throne. However, that can change since the Emperor has a favorite son, the second prince, Leon. Unlike Royce, Leon is actually smart, but he lacks military prowess. However, if Ahmad decides to support Leon, then the power would shift. Whoever the commander of the Knights of the Sun supports shall rule the kingdom. She realizes that in order to shine, Selene needs the sun. What better way to steal the moon's light than by destroying the sun? Gosh, she really is a wolf in sheep's clothing. Back at the Ifrit mansion, the couple is still deep in their passion. Selene has a hard time keeping up with Ahmad's enthusiasm. She is even embarrassed to take a bath since the maids can clearly see the evidence of Ahmad's insatiable appetite for her. Still, she adores the time they spend together. Even Lorna mentions how much closer the couple are now, their deep connection obvious to everyone around them. But of course, reality has a way to ruin things, because just as she's preparing for the day, Camila has asked to see her. Camila demands that Selene hand over her seal as Duchess. This woman just won't give up. Selene can only sigh at her mother-in-law's antics. She explains that she can't give it to her without Ahmad's permission. This angers Camila, but the Duchess doesn't want to entertain her grievances anymore. She wants to discuss something else. She tells Camila that she wants to reveal to Ahmad that she can't have children. Her mother-in-law is strongly opposed to this, claiming that Ahmad would become even more obsessed with her if he found out. She even mocks Selene for being insecure. However, Selene knows that it's the right thing to do. Camila smirks and tells her why Raymond's sister was actually abandoned. It's because she had a miscarriage and became infertile as well. She claims that this will also be Selene's fate in the future. This thought lingers in Selene's mind later on as she travels to where her husband is training his knights. She doesn't know what to do at this point. When she arrives, she insists on seeing the training grounds and convinces Lord Herod, her guide, to let her find the place alone. She wants to see her husband in action. Ahmad must look amazing while working. She sure has her priorities straight. Well, she may have overestimated herself. She ends up lost. She should have asked the knight to take her there. Fortunately, Ahmad just happens to be patrolling the forest at the time. When he spots her, he's visibly angry that she's recklessly roaming around on her own. Selene thanks her husband for rescuing her. Seeing her bright smile, Ahmad's anger instantly recedes, gently telling her to be careful from then on instead. When they enter the main building, Selene is shocked to see Empress Sophia, who looks exactly like Camila, waiting for them. When the Empress greeted them, Selene couldn't help but compare this woman to the one in the novel. She is nothing like the tragic woman stricken by grief that's described in the book, all because of her son's illness. Instead, she looks strong-willed. Selene begins thinking once again that it's her fault that the story is changing because of her. Seeing how disturbed she is, Ahmad touches her forehead, wondering if she's unwell. Selene quickly feels embarrassed that her husband is acting like this in front of the Empress, but Empress Sophia is only amused that they get along so well. When Prince Leon is mentioned, the Empress sadly expresses how she wishes that her son would recover from his illness just like Ahmad. Selene, however, knows that the prince is destined to grow apart from his mother and die alone. Poor kid! Ahmad, however, is growing impatient. He wants to know what the Empress's true intention was for seeing them. The Empress reveals that she wants Ahmad to protect Leon. The Empress is aware of Prince Royce's unusual moves and the gathering of a large army funded by Lady Veronica. However, the Empress is sure that even though Royce and Veronica are dating, she doubts that the Emperor would let them marry. The Duke, right then and there, declares his intention not to side with anyone in the power struggle for the throne. The Empress reminds him that they are family and that he's Prince Leon's uncle. She even mentions that, as the commander of the Knights of the Sun, the power to choose the next ruler in case there is an unclear heir rests with him. However, Ahmad still refuses, believing that the son's choice would not be needed. Later, as they head home, Selene asks him if he's bothered by their conversation with the Empress. Ahmad declares that he'll make sure that the extreme measure of his having to choose the next emperor will not arise. He's also quite annoyed since he doesn't want his wife to hear about such troublesome matters. Blushing, Selene moves to rest against his shoulder as she tells him she's glad to be there with him. The Duke is so grateful that he kisses her. Finally, a lovey-dovey moment. Back in the mansion, Selene is visited by the doctor. She asks him to provide her with some contraceptive pills, and most importantly, she commissions him to secretly make an infertility treatment for her. After some time, Selene is suddenly called to meet with the Empress. Selene is shocked when the Empress declares that she wants Prince Leon to be the Emperor, so she needs the support of Duke Ifrit. Even though Selene feels an imposing pressure, she firmly states that this matter is up to Ahmad. The Empress wants her to use her influence over the Duke to sway him, but the Duchess knows her husband follows the path of righteousness. She never wants him to violate his beliefs. However, the Empress casually mentions that Ahmad is yet to know that his precious wife can't bear a child. She seems to want to use this information to threaten her. Oh no, she really is Camilla's sister. Fortunately, Selene is steadfast. Even with this blackmail, she will not persuade Ahmad to do the Empress's will. She quickly takes her leave, exiting the Empress's quarters with a respectful bow. As she's leaving the palace, she encounters yet another obstacle. The Crown Prince is there to approach her. As expected, he's acting creepy, trying to act like they have a close relationship. She tries to politely leave, but he then implies that he will ask Ahmad to hand her over to him in exchange for his guaranteed success. What vileness is this guy saying? As he continues to spout insults, Ahmad suddenly appears to twist his arm, declaring that he would break his arm if he ever offered such a thing to him. The Duke throws him to the ground after threatening him, and the prince declares that he will not forget this insult. He quickly runs away from the Duke like the coward that he is. The couple is left to share a warm embrace, relieved to be in each other's arms. Back in the mansion, the Duchess is feeling guilty for taking contraceptive pills. She doesn't want to deceive her husband any longer, so she orders Lorna to tell the doctor that she doesn't need them anymore. Later that day, Veronica came to see her again. Selene assumes that she's here because of the incident with the prince. Their conversation quickly turns into a metaphorical sword fight. Veronica mentions that she has stopped the news of the Duke harming the Crown Prince from spreading, so she better not provoke her. Rather than backing down, Selene comments about what might happen if the Empress learns that the Crown Prince has tried to harass the wife of Duke Ifrit. Veronica is instantly pissed, claiming that the prince told her that Selene seduced him first. She even reveals that she knows that Selene was hired to have Ahmad's child when he was sick. Selene quickly questions how she knows such a thing. After all, her mother-in-law would never reveal the truth of her son's marriage. Veronica is caught in her own trap, so she tries to back down, saying that she must have read it somewhere. The Duchess realizes that the only way she could have known is if Lady Veronica belonged to opium. When she mentions opium, the secret social club, Veronica is instantly stunned, as if she knows the place. Veronica quickly shifts the focus to the fact that Selene has worked there before. However, Selene has no problem telling her husband that she used to repair clothes in that club before. Veronica can't blackmail her with this information since she never did anything shameful. As retaliation, Selene casually reveals that she knows that Veronica is not Marquis Lotranger's real daughter. She now knows why Veronica hates her so much. She even mocks the lady for being jealous of her. After all, she married Ahmad, and Veronica is acting like she took something from her. She then reminds Veronica that nothing really belonged to her in the first place. Oh, that burns! That's a verbal sparring right there! Veronica, who is obviously affected by her words, quickly stands to leave. However, Selene reminds her not to mess with her husband any longer, or else she will make her pay the price. Veronica warns Selene to enjoy her happiness while she can, since it can also come crumbling down like a house of cards. But the Duchess merely smirks, giving a warning of her own. She tells the lady that when someone has lots of secrets, they're bound to haunt them. Another hurdle is thrown at the Ifrit couple when news of Emma's death reaches them. Apparently, she tried to harm Duchess Conette and was imprisoned. She then took her own life, but before doing so, she framed Selene. She claims that she has been ordered by the Duchess. Ahmad has to leave with Alien, so Selene is left to speculate if Emma really took her own life or if someone did it for her. Something doesn't sit right with her. Emma was her last card against Veronica, which was why she spared her. Emma was from the same orphanage as Veronica. One word from her would have revealed Veronica's past. In order to gather her thoughts, she decides to write everything she knows about the novel. Veronica's ultimate goal is definitely to become the Empress. At the moment, the only way for that to happen is for the current Emperor to die so Royce can replace him. Meanwhile, Ahmad finds out that Emma swallowed poison. He also learns that a family member had visited her before her demise. Things become even more complicated when he learns that a prison guard has died in the same manner as Emma. In order to stop information from leaking out before the founding ceremony, Ahmad decides to close the case. Selene, on the other hand, continues to brainstorm. She knows that when the Emperor perished in the novel, the Crown Prince quickly rose to power, even taking over the Knights of the Sun. This means that everything depends on keeping the Emperor safe. As long as Ahmad is around, the Emperor cannot easily be harmed. She has naively thought that since she knows the story based on the novel, things would be easier. But things are becoming more and more complicated. Because she is so lost in her thoughts, Ahmad surprises her by hugging her from behind. Selene blushes at her husband's antics, but she quickly asks about Emma. Ahmad tells her the result of the investigation, but Selene finds it odd that Ahmad is given up so easily. She asks if Veronica is the true culprit, but Ahmad can't give her an answer. She then recalls the possibility that Emma may have gotten the job here at the Ifrit mansion because of Veronica. After all, Camila was quite fond of her would-be daughter-in-law. Selene then shares her worry that Veronica might target the Emperor next. Ahmad, like a good husband he is, assures her that that won't happen. When the day of the founding ceremony arrives, people from all over are invited, even Count Felt, the general from the rival country that Ahmad fought against during the war. Just as the Crown Prince is about to greet him, Duke Ifrit arrives with Prince Leon. Royce is instantly angered by this. He's about to make his displeasure known, but Veronica stops him. She reminds him that Ahmad is just carrying out an order from the Emperor to escort his second son. If the prince questions this, he'll be the laughingstock of the country. The Crown Prince has no choice but to turn away, swearing that he'd make them pay for this. Spoken like a true entitled jerk. When Selene arrives at the ceremony, she is mesmerized to see her husband. He is as dashing as ever, especially with his slicked-back updo he's sporting. Ahmad is quick to offer his hand to his wife, inviting her to dance. The two spend their time dancing, displaying a wonderful sight for all to see. Later, they find themselves outside. Just as they are casually chatting, Selene suddenly feels lightheaded and she collapses. Good thing the Duke is able to catch her. Luckily, she quickly recovers. As the Duke fusses over her, she tells him it's all because of her weak stamina. This appeases Ahmad and he leans in close, clearly wanting to kiss her. Selene recalls the doctor's words about trying to sleep with the Duke after her treatment. She wonders if it can really work. But as the Duke gives her a sweet kiss, she decides not to think about such matters for now. Meanwhile, the Crown Prince is once again having a tantrum. Veronica tells him to calm himself, for she has a plan. She first makes him promise her that he'd crown her as the Empress. When he assures her of her future position, she reveals that she has recruited someone to report the movements in the Emperor's palace. One of the most anticipated events of the ceremony is the jousting tournament. The knights competing against one another would be drawn at random. Meanwhile, Selene is on the sidelines watching the knights jab sticks at one another. However, she is not feeling well. She thinks that the barbaric scenes are making her queasy. Still, she chooses to stay, especially when her husband makes his appearance in the field. Selene is shocked to see the size of the jousting sticks that her husband is about to use. She can't help but feel worried for her delicate Ahmad, even more so since his opponent is the crown prince. I hope nothing fishy happens. Just before the match starts, Ahmad approaches her and Selene wraps a ribbon around his jousting stick for good luck. She begs him not to get hurt. Ahmad confidently promises to win the prize for her. The match between the two rivals is particularly vicious. However, no matter how much the crown prince tries, he simply cannot win against the duke. The prize Ahmad won for Selene is a gorgeous tiara. And who else would he crown other than his wife? After they share a kiss in front of everyone, the duke tells her that the gem is actually called Selene, which is why it suits her so much. Selene then recalls a forgotten event in the novel. The original owner of the crown was supposed to be Veronica, which is why everyone called her Lady Crown from then on. Lady Veronica informs the crown prince Royce that the emperor, having written a secret letter long ago, will name his successor soon, likely Duke Ifrit. However, Veronica, promising to make him the emperor, reveals that Queen Lilos intends to support the crown prince with men, but in turn, he'll have to relinquish ownership of Pavili and stationing of the Lilos army. His only choice is to rely on outside help to acquire the crown, or submit to his half-brother's right to rule. Of course, he chooses the first one and orders Lord Herod to enact his plan to distract Duke Ifrit. Meanwhile, Selene's overlooking the sky from their castle balcony. She's feeling a bit sad not being with Andre, who's away leading Prince Leon's guards. Suddenly, Lord Herod appears, and though internally conflicted, lies and leads Selene into a secluded part of the forest in order to kidnap her, falsely claiming it's Andre who called for her so that she'll go. With that, Lord Herod pulls a sack over her head, and Selene's vision goes dark. Why did Selene have to fall for this ploy? Soon, Ahmad gets informed that Selene's missing, likely Lord Herod's doing. He stays calm, stations half his men to find her, and noticing that Royce may be plotting something, orders the rest to stay with the Imperial Guards. Meanwhile, with Veronica's words ringing in his head, urging him to take care of his father to ascend the throne, Royce storms His Majesty's quarters with his men and slaughters the unsuspecting guards. Unexpectedly, Ahmad himself confronts the Crown Prince, who in turn is shocked that the Duke isn't preoccupied with something else. Despite Royce's deranged ramblings, Ahmad calmly repeats that Royce had committed a serious crime and will be branded a traitor. With that, both men and their troops clash in battle. But before Ahmad can overpower Royce, His Majesty appears, declaring Ahmad his successor, removing Royce's imperial title and informing them of his intention to abdicate once the founding day ends. And thankfully, it seems Lord Herod double-crossed Royce and had instead brought Selene to safety under Ahmad's orders. God, what a well-deserved plot twist that is! His Majesty does take the blame for raising his son incorrectly. He orders him to be imprisoned at the North Tower nonetheless. Based on his expression, when Royce calls out to him, the Emperor does feel pain for his son's fate. Regardless, he stays composed and orders Ahmad not to spill the event publicly on account of the Founding Day festivities. With the ordeal over, Ahmad steps out to watch the sunrise. He then gets informed that Count Feltz's men who aided Royce's revolt were apprehended, so he orders them to arrest the Count himself. They also praise Lord Herod's excellent job of safekeeping Selene and contemplate how the Emperor, despite being faced with his son's intentions to kill him, loved Royce enough to be merciful on his punishment. What's really got Ahmad worried is the news of Veronica vanishing. He nonetheless orders his men to search for her. Meanwhile, Selene feels a little lightheaded when Lord Herod informs her of the situation. Her worries for Ahmad are cut short, though, when he himself goes to her. The lovers share a warm embrace and comfort each other that they're safe. Back at their estate, Selene again almost collapses. It's twice now, more than a coincidence. So Ahmad sends for a doctor. He only recommends Selene eat healthy and nutritious foods, enough for 2 people, since, thankfully, Selene's pregnant. Again, Selene and Ahmad hug upon the joyous news. Wow, we thought it was something bad, but it turns out to be the best thing yet for our lovely couple. So excited for them! Immediately, Ahmad goes overboard with the dessert sweets for his pregnant wife. He is in fact serious in thinking Selene needs to gain more weight to handle her pregnancy. Still, the two lovingly reminisce of their romantic moments eating desserts together. Suddenly, Lady Camila bursts through the door, offering her congratulations for Selene's pregnancy. To her credit, she's been waiting for that since the beginning, but really, she's terrible. At once, Ahmad puts himself in between his mother and Selene and makes it clear she isn't welcome there. He has the staff lead Lady Camila to her room, while a worried Selene wonders how she ever got in the first place. In order to protect his wife and child, Ahmad assures Selene they'll live someplace where Lady Camila can't bother them. And after all that, the last day of the Founding Day festivities are finally here, beginning with Duchess Canette's play, and then a ball. Since Selene needs rest, she and Ahmad decide to attend the play only. However, Selene's lost in thought about Veronica's current whereabouts, since her father and fiancé are now incarcerated. So much that it made her trip. Ahmad catches her, and her stares make him believe there's more to it. Who can blame her since her husband's too handsome, really? After a little teasing, Ahmad again professes his undying love to a teary-eyed Selene, and they share that love with a kiss. During a normal afternoon, a cloaked figure overhears some townsfolk commenting on the Knights of the Sun's increased efforts of looking for someone. They also gossip about the upcoming successor announcement after the festivities, about the Crown Prince's fall, and subsequently, his wife. This mystery figure, a black-haired woman, seems irritated by this, but she gets even more displeased upon learning of Selene's pregnancy, one that everyone seems to happily expect. Angry, she rushes home and reveals herself to be Veronica in disguise. But there's a crazed feeling to her, exemplified by her intense jealousy at Selene's life. With a deranged look in her eyes, Veronica reaches for her emergency fund of jewels and vows never to let Selene get away with it all. You can really tell when a person snapped out of their sane mind. Meanwhile, Selene regrets not saying "I love you" back during the heat of the moment at Ahmad after their passionate kiss. After they part ways, Selene feels dizzy again and bumps into a suspicious man. Anyway, during the play, the Empress and Prince Leon will make an appearance, and Ahmad's expected to be seated next to them, hence why he and Selene won't be going in together. Unfortunately, when Selene was on her way to the theater, a strong smell covered the air, making her dizzy and lose consciousness. And so, Selene's fate is left in question. God, why doesn't she have guards with her at this time? While Ahmad ponders what Selene's answer to his affection will be, he notices Selene never did show up. Speaking of, Selene wakes up inside of a dungeon, there with no one else but Veronica. Apparently, they're still somewhere under the Imperial Palace grounds, as Veronica had ample time to scour the estate. Strong wafts of Veronica's perfume irritate Selene, so Veronica reveals the parasites infesting her body, the reason why she's wearing such strong perfumes. But really, a deranged Veronica continually blames Ahmad for her downfall, saying he and Lady Louise were in fact allies that conned her into persuading Royce to launch a coup. She also continually threatens Selene and her unborn child. Without a single hint of fear, Selene talks back, saying it's actually Veronica herself to blame for her current situation. Her lust for power and social status led her to climb and manipulate her way into the imperial family. And why, you ask, is Selene not afraid? It's because she believes her husband will find her no matter what, as he never fails her. This time, Veronica blames Selene, claiming all she had was luck, but again, Selene thwarts her threat attempts. Unfortunately, Veronica lights a match while declaring to drag Selene into hell. Clearly, her deranged mind will lead her to unthinkable acts. Poor Selene's eyes widen at Veronica's wickedness. Veronica's fully committed to her insane plan of revenge. She wants to end Selene's life to make Ahmad suffer. However, Selene tells her that her death will hurt the Duke, sure, but time will heal him and he'll have a family nonetheless. It's Selene's attempt to make Veronica see her as a pawn to use in her revenge against Ahmad alive. She also resolved herself to either escape or die there with Veronica. Selene makes Veronica realize she can use her to convince Ahmad to give Royce his royal title back, thereby restoring her own title as well. Unfortunately, it would seem that Selene's plan didn't work, as Veronica has truly lost any care about anything else. In anger, Veronica draws her dagger on Selene's neck. Meanwhile, Ahmad and his men are hard at work searching for Selene. Ahmad himself finds Selene's tiara in an alleyway and theorizes she's been kidnapped without struggle. He nonetheless admonishes his stupidity for not seeing such a thing could happen. He also picks up the scent of a powerful sleeping agent, supporting his theory. Suddenly, Ahmad gets informed of his men apprehending an individual with one of Celine's jewels. Cool anger is marked on Ahmad's face as he asks to be brought to the prisoner. Please hurry, Ahmad. Poor Celine's in serious trouble with that crazy loon Veronica. Ahmad makes easy work of interrogating the captured man, seeing as he's already scared to death of him. It's the same man Celine bumped into earlier, BTW. Anyway, the man brings Ahmad and his men to the spot where he was instructed to take Celine, but there's no sign of Veronica or Celine. This makes Ahmad wonder whether there's some kind of secret passageway hidden within the estate, knowing it'll be hard for Veronica to escape with Celine while keeping her tracks hidden if that wasn't the case. Declaring that he's going to see Royce, Ahmad orders his men to leave the area. A good thing, too, as moments later, the tiny room explodes. This is a haunting reminder of the danger Celine's facing. As for Celine, thank God Veronica spared and is now leading her through the dungeons. Let's give credit to Celine's negotiation skills. Celine also tries to get Veronica to untie her hands, and though the latter seems convinced, Veronica doesn't free her. Celine sees Veronica's face is void of sanity. It's creepy, really. And Veronica continuously teases Celine that Ahmad will never find her, since only her and Royce know of the passageways. Little do you know, Veronica, Ahmad's on his way to figuring this out, I'm sure of this. Royce is startled by his unexpected visitor, Ahmad. The latter demands his wife's location from the former, but it's clear Royce is clueless of this particular kidnapping. So Ahmad questions him about his planned kidnapping and where he planned to take Celine had his plan succeeded. Despite taking one of Ahmad's punches, Royce doesn't divulge any information, so Ahmad had him taken away for interrogation. Again, with every passing minute, Ahmad realizes the urgency for Celine's safety. Hurry, Ahmad, and get your wife! Meanwhile, Celine's thinking hard on what her plan of action should be. She tries to stay calm, but their location, dark and without windows, especially with her hands tied, makes escape seem impossible. Celine thinks of screaming, but as if reading her mind, Veronica constantly presses her dagger on Celine. After a bit of walking, Veronica has them stop, and in a bid to talk to her captor, Celine asks what's Veronica's endgame for this entire ordeal. Veronica reveals she plans to sell Celine. Veronica plans to use Celine as a bartering chip with Ahmad. She's actually betting on what Celine said earlier, that Ahmad will sacrifice everything for her, even reinstating Royce's status as the crown prince. But deep down, Celine knows Veronica and Royce have to be caught. Regardless, Veronica seems happy at the chance her life will get back on track. But all of a sudden, part of a wall collapses, revealing Ahmad and his men that have infiltrated the secret passageways. Finally, it's about time for Celine's rescue! Ahmad demands his wife's release, but Veronica keeps Celine closer with her knife close to her throat. And so the Duke offers to have both Veronica and Royce, whom he brought also, escape without capture if she releases Celine. But Veronica, deranged as she is, laughs maniacally, saying her reward for her gamble should be better. Ahmad's then forced to produce the letter detailing his ascension to the throne, which Veronica asks to be destroyed in front of her. Without hesitation, Ahmad complies, and even releases Royce upon Veronica's request, all to ensure Celine's safety. Both Veronica and Royce are happy he did, but when Royce rushes to Veronica, their connection, if there was any, is particularly non-existent. Knowing Veronica won't willingly release her, Celine decides to act and make her escape herself, bumping the table so that the lamp breaks and scatters fire all over. The fire engulfs much of the space within the secret passageway, enough to make Veronica panic and drop her dagger. But remember what we said about Veronica being fully committed? In a desperate attempt to again capture and gain her revenge on Celine, Veronica tackles her to the ground as she tries to escape, to Ahmad's horror. Then and there, Veronica starts choking Celine. Thankfully, Ahmad is quick to react and apprehends Veronica. When Celine next comes to, she sees Ahmad checking up on her. Ahmad finally frees Celine from her bonds. Her husband then carries her, intending to lead her away from this chaotic commotion. Celine then turns to Veronica, who has been completely caught and trapped by the fire. She desperately screams, and for a moment, the two women lock eyes, before Veronica continues to call for Royce's help. Unfortunately, as she's suffering, Royce is in action and cowardice to face the fires himself. Even moving away when Veronica gets closer, the coward that he is, seals Veronica's fate. She falls to the ground without a word. Royce then grabs his fiancée's dagger, intent on using it on Ahmad now that his hands are preoccupied with carrying Selene. Still, because of Ahmad's superior sword skills, he defends himself pretty easily, even slicing Royce's arm off. As the fire grows larger and larger, the Duke bids Lord Herod to finish the job as he takes Selene away. With one strike of Herod's sword, Royce is incapacitated. Afterwards, Ahmad is desperately trying to get Selene outside since she had breathed in a lot of smoke. Unfortunately, she's slipping away from consciousness as Ahmad shouts her name. Oh, it can't end like this. Now, back at their own estate, Ahmad doesn't, or rather, he can't leave Selene's bedside, as his wife still hasn't gained consciousness after suffering through Veronica's kidnapping ordeal. The doctor rushes in, and it's only then that Ahmad relinquishes his post of watching over Selene. Thankfully, the doctor says Selene's only resting and should come out of her sleep soon enough once her body regains enough strength. This is a massive relief for Ahmad, but he still can't help but worry. This is the woman who helped him get another reason for wanting to live. He wishes she opens her eyes as soon as possible, and is anxious that he even doubts the doctor when his educated guess of when Selene will wake up will pass. Really, we understand your worry enough, Ahmad. Selene does finally wake up with Ahmad's help. Despite still being groggy, the first thing Selene does is to assure Ahmad that she's okay. This causes Ahmad to hold her close in an embrace. Again, he professes his love again for her. Having gone through the entire difficult past events and the trauma that comes with it, Selene now sees Ahmad's affections in a whole new light. As she caresses his cheek, Selene finally says, "I love you," back to Ahmad. She then immediately goes in for a hug because she wanted to hear his heartbeat. That's so tacky even for you, Selene. But given the situation, we'll allow it. Days pass after the chaotic events have transpired, and eventually, they have been made publicly. Royce, having lost his imperial titles, has been sentenced to life imprisonment at the North Tower. As for Veronica, she also has the same punishment, but she'll spend her life within the deepest dungeons. You know, that is a fair judgment for their crimes. As for the imperial family, His Majesty makes good on his plans to retire from politics after the Founding Day Festival, and he announces his official successor to be Prince Leon. The young, bubbly prince's coronation was held not long after this announcement. Surely, as for Ahmad, the crown has given him recognition for his valiant efforts during Royce and Veronica's attempted coup. Actually, Ahmad was recognized as the ruling regent for the new Emperor Leon and was even given the most prestigious title possible, Grand Duke of Pavili. Later on, the newly minted Grand Duke Ahmad pays the former Empress a visit. Apparently, their meeting was to discuss his appointment of a co-regent, Duke Konet. Ahmad gives a solid enough reason for this, saying the Duke is savvy with his diplomatic skills, which will prove useful for the young emperor. They also discuss Royce's downfall and Leon's potential to be a great ruler. Ahmad makes it known, however, that he'll be more inclined towards favors if the benefits also includes his wife, prompting the former Empress to reveal she's already got a gift for Selene. Still, what at the former Empress's mind is that she can't believe how much Ahmad loves Selene. Apparently, days prior, when discussing his compensation for his actions, Ahmad had specifically asked for the Empire's primary source of income, Pavili. Aside from financial business reasons like keeping Pavili independent through him and maintaining a mutually beneficial connection with the Empire, Ahmad reveals he wants to give Pavili to his wife. But really, the former Empress knows that Ahmad wants Pavili to grant Selene a Grand Duchess title. Not that she'll refuse his request, though. Afterwards, Ahmad leaves, and he and Selene share another warm embrace as he tells her of the meeting upon seeing each other. It seems especially nice and beautiful day when Ahmad and Selene inspect their new home in Pavili. Selene is more than happy that Ahmad followed through on his promise that they'll move so Lady Camila won't bother them again. They enter their mansion, and delightful scenes of a life waiting for them is present within the walls. However, Selene still finds it in herself to worry for Lady Camila. But Ahmad is quick to comfort her. In fact, she doesn't have to attend any imperial meetings or gatherings if it bothers her. But Selene dismisses that, as they've already promised to be where their significant other is. Still, Selene does give Camila some credit. It's because of Ahmad's mother that the two of them met. Ahmad pulls her closer for another embrace, promising, almost stating a fact, that even if his mother hadn't made them meet, They will always have been destined to cross paths, and destined to share the love they cherish. He does admit they missed one important step in their relationship. They've had their first night married without a wedding, and now Celine's with child. So Ahmad formally asks Celine to be his lawfully wedded wife, to renew their vows of eternal love towards one another again. And it comes to no one's surprise that they seal this promise, this love again, with a tender kiss. You know, maybe Ahmad's right. Perhaps they're fated lovers after all. And so ends the story of how Celine went from Ahmad's contractual wife to his real loving partner for life. Throughout the twists and turns, their story is one that proves that love always survives. Thank you for joining us on Celine's journey. Tune in again at this channel to witness great love stories such as this. Goodbye!